Hey everyone, you're listening to the official podcast of 4playernetwork.com. Check us out at that address for everything you need to know about our community, monthly giveaways, and nightly live streams. You can even support us on Patreon at patreon.com/4player. And last but not least, you can catch the live recordings of these podcasts every single Thursday night on our Twitch channel. We hope to see you there. Enjoy. Welcome to 4Player Podcast. This is episode 530. It is December 14th, 2017. I'm your host, Nick Henderson. I am joined this evening, of course, by Krispy.
Shut up.
I'm just kidding. I did that intentionally.
Shut up, Nick. Yeah, you did.
By Krispy. How you doing, Krispy?
Oh, I'm, bulging with excitement.
Wonderful. Me too. I'm, busting at the seams in my jeans area. You know what I mean?
My jean seams.
Nolan Hedstrom is joining us.
How's it going, everybody?
And Christopher Davis.
Hello.
Is also here. We haven't had a podcast in about 2 weeks. Last week we did some live commentary of the Game Awards, which subsequently ended up giving us a shit ton of stuff to talk about on this very podcast.
Probably should rewatch those videos.
I probably should have rewatched some of them too. We'll get to those. In fact, maybe we can watch one or two of them during the break before we go to the news segment. But we have a lot of impressions this week, including.
You mean Nick has a lot of impressions?
Sorry,
mainly Nick.
I've played a lot of shit. I even cut one. I cut a game.
Yes, and I was very disappointed in your choice.
I mean, I literally picked the game on the list that I have played the least of in the past 2 weeks.
Because it's the worst.
Exactly. That is.
I have a sharp object. I will stab you with.
It might be the worst of all the stuff that I've been playing some pretty good video games lately.
Just because it's the worst, Chris Davis, doesn't mean it's a bad game.
You said some really fucked up shit about Super Mario Odyssey.
I beat it.
Anyway,
you have been rather harsh on Twitter.
I'm not even trying to be harsh. I'm just trying to be real.
Then why were you like, fuck this game and fuck people who like it?
That is exactly.
That sounds like something Brad would say.
Exactly what I said.
You were like, this has no room on anybody's top 10.
No,
Wait, did he
it's
really
not
say
at
that?
all.
Yeah,
what
he
I
said if you put this on your top 10 list, you're a dumb person. That's what he said.
Wow.
Verbatim.
That.
Word.
Somebody
for
find the link for the
word. Oh my god. We'll talk about. There's so many things to talk about tonight. Yes,
so let's start talking about
myself. Before we get into that, I want to remind everybody that if you have not yet, we'd love to have all of you in our community Discord. Discord.gg/4player is where you'll find us. It's very active. We have a lot of great discussions happening in there on a daily basis that you could be a part of. If you do drop by, if you do make an account, stop into the introductions channel and say hello.
We had a new one today in there.
We did, and we said hello, and then he didn't respond, and I was sad.
And scared him.
And then if you're jumping in just to talk about Star Wars, we now have a Star Wars channel
We do have a Star Wars channel in there now.
Which, please, for the love of God, keep spoilers in there, because...
Don't see. This is why you don't say these things out loud, because you don't plant the seed in people's
If you're not
head.
sure of how to begin a discussion on the Star Wars channel, let me give you a jumping off point. Dash Rendar is the worst character in all of Star Wars. Discuss.
Holy shit!
Holy crap!
He's talked about. Dash
I know.
Plenty.
We've had the Dash Rendar discussion before.
He's terrible.
But it's always a good discussion.
He's the worst.
Couple more house cleaning bits here. First, 2, Patreon. You can find us on Patreon at patreon.com/4player. Patreon recently, we haven't even really had an opportunity to discuss this openly on our podcast, but Patreon was going to be making these sweeping changes to the way their fees worked, which was going to put a lot of the additional fees onto the users as opposed to the creators.
Yep.
Which for some reason they thought was a good idea. It was going to actually, people started canceling their pledges on a lot of different creators for good reason, I suppose. They have backpedaled on that. I just feel like it's worth mentioning this out loud. They have backpedaled. They literally put out a statement saying, we messed up.
Yeah. They're
not going to roll those out anymore, so I just want to get that out there.
It'd be nice if someone put out a statement like that.
The
FCC.
Yeah. Oh,
Damn.
God. Oh. It's not over yet. The fight ain't over
No,
yet.
I know.
It's over.
Crispy. But anyways, if you're interested, you can find us on Patreon at patreon.com/4player. We'll be answering questions from our Patreon patrons in the second half of the show. I also want to go ahead and let everybody know we will be recording a bonus podcast for Star Wars The Last Jedi this coming Sunday. We don't have a time set in place yet for it. We'll let everybody know on Patreon and Twitter and Discord, all that stuff, before it happens. If you're a supporter on Patreon at the $3 tier or higher, you can tune in while we record that live and chime in with the conversation and whatnot and respond to what we're saying. We'd love to have you in there. But without further ado, let's get to the content. I don't have much feedback from last episode, which is probably a good thing because we have a lot to discuss tonight. But I do want to read the one comment from last podcast. It's from Bernsey.
Bernsey.
From Bernsey. He says, "We learn so much about Nick every week. He likes edging, loves docking, so much so he wants a game around it. I'm curious about his opinions on sounding, tuning forks, and Nokia phones? How many of those things are actually dirty that I'm just not picking up on? I know sound. He put sounding in quotes. I feel like I need to look that one up.
I have to wonder how many of these objects for the act have to go into the human body.
I mean, tuning forks sounds like it could very easily...
The problem with the tuning fork
Nick, how do you tune a fork?
The problem with tuning forks is as soon as it touches something, it pretty much stops vibrating. But I guess you can get it very close.
But
and
like,
you can
is this
feel
like?
the
Is he saying he wants to
vibrations.
know my opinion on tuning forks, or like, is that like an act of like a sexual act, like a thing that I'm just not aware of? Because that's what he's.
I'm fairly certain because a tuning fork you normally hit it on something.
Yeah.
So I think you're supposed to slide the one end
Oh God, no, no! Let's not go there.
Those are all related.
into your hand.
Wait, what?
It's sounding, tuning forks, and what?
Nokia phones.
Those are all related.
Wait, you just.
You should look up the definition of sounding.
Oh, no!
What he's asking if you want to verb noun or noun.
Oh. Oh. Oh, there, I'll look that up in the break.
There you go.
No. Oh no. Oh
yeah.
God, are we doing this right now?
Well, you might as well read it out loud.
Sounding on Urban Dictionary. The practice of inserting plastic or metal sounds, in parentheses, long, thin, and very smooth objects into yours or someone else's urethra. Oh!
Hey, I was right.
Whoa! Oh! Ultimately leads to stretching of the urethra so that larger objects, such as a finger. Oh no! Okay, I'm done. I'm done.
It's kids in a sandbox.
Yeah, I know. Oh! Abort! Abort! Oh my God! All right. Whew!
So, sounding,
I'm not into those. I'm not into
sounding
those.
tuning forks. And then Nokia phones.
Oh!
Yes. Yes.
Holy shit! Video games. That was the only bit of feedback we had from last week. I do want to remind everybody that you're welcome to leave comments and feedback from every
Preferably
episode.
not about things like this.
Unless it comes up in conversation, in which case you're welcome to comment on it. But you can leave us a comment at 4playernetwork.com. We'll read it and react to it on the next episode. Anyways, we've got video games to talk about. I want to start with the beta.
The beta?
Krispy. You've been playing that Monster Hunter beta.
What?
Oh, shit.
You want to start here?
Yeah.
Do it.
This is so new it's not even out.
I dare you.
Okay.
I'm sorry, did I catch you off guard? Were you not quite ready?
No, it's okay. I didn't have anything prepared either way. So the Monster Hunter World Beta went from last Saturday to last Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Yes. Sorry, I was just
You've been
yeah,
very
so
quiet about
they're
it.
still talking about sounding and
Junta. And hey, you know what?
what?
It's really cool.
Oh shit.
It's very fun. I don't have a whole crazy amount of experience with the Monster Hunter franchise. I have played a few previous entries
For like 10
past
minutes.
what would be like the introductory phase.
Yeah.
You know, like I played the one that was on the
that looks
Wii U.
good.
Yeah, it's so good, right? All the food looks delicious.
Damn.
What I'm doing right
This is some
now,
food porn.
yeah, what I'm doing right here is I just started a mission and I arrived at one of the camps.
Wait, are you Goku?
And this has always been a thing. They've had like it used to be there would be like a restaurant in the little hub city that you would go to before you went out on your mission, but now they just put it in the camp. But you can pay for meals. You eat different meals, and they give you different like temporary stat boosts that usually last for like 10 or 20 minutes or something like that. So that's kind of a thing. You go to the camp, you eat your meal real quick, and then you start doing whatever you need to do.
What is it with food porn in JRPGs lately?
I don't know.
It's not lately. It's always been a thing.
Final
But
Fantasy
Crispy,
15.
to interject really quick, I'm with you. I've probably in my life played a grand total of like 3 hours of Monster Hunter. And my problem with the series is just I always feel so fucking scared. Because to play it, it's like daunting. These games aren't like the 10-minute, it's not like a 20-hour game. These games are huge.
It's funny because there's a lot to learn about the minute-to-minute gameplay of the game. But the game itself, like the overall metagame, is actually really not that complicated at all. There's maybe less to the game than you would even think there is.
Yeah.
Not that that's a bad thing. Like I said, the real like fun of this game is figuring out how to deal with different monsters and how to track them and how to hunt them down, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing. But like the actual loop that you're going through is like you go to the job board, you select a mission, you gather a team, you go hunt the monster that you're looking for, you collect materials from the monster once it's dead, you go back to town, you craft, you do it again.
Yep.
It's a very, very similar to loop to what you would find in something like Diablo or Destiny or something like that. It's just kind of like these co-op missions that you either take on by yourself or with other people. Now, as you can imagine, a game like that would benefit very greatly from being online, which is why they all generally have had some sort of online, or like, on PSP they use the ad hoc, system so that you could play with other people. I mean, even going back to PS2, this was one of the first, like, not the first, but this was a very, very early online console game.
Yeah.
Like the original Monster Hunter was like, I mean, back then it was basically SOCOM doing it,
Yeah.
and that was about it.
It was SOCOM. It was Final Fantasy 11.
That's not
Yeah, Final Fantasy 11,
and
sure.
Star Wars Galaxies.
But even like Final Fantasy 11 just kind of like disappeared pretty quickly from the console scene.
I have a friend that played that for like a year on PS2, and it blows my mind that he was playing that game so consistently on a console.
Yeah, I mean, those games kept kind of like a niche following, but they weren't in like after a while. I remember trying to get into Final Fantasy 11 like maybe a year after it came out, and like I couldn't find the game, I couldn't find the hard disk drive that you needed to play it anywhere. Like it was crazy.
I have a network adapter for my PS2 right there.
Oh my god, network
adapter.
Oh yeah, if I could go back in time like 15 years.
What are we doing playing new games?
So it's been kind of frustrating for me as somebody who feels like they missed the boat on Monster Hunter because they didn't play it in the PS2 days, to try to catch on to the series when it's been basically exclusively a handheld title in the West for like a decade.
For a while now.
Yeah.
There was the one on the Wii, wasn't it?
There was a port of a
Monster
handheld
Hunter
one on it was
Try.
Ultimate.
Yeah.
Yeah. Try was the one that was on the Wii, and then they did Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate, which is the same game ported up to the Wii U.
Yeah.
So that game, the Wii U version of that game, is the only one that I've put like serious, time into, to the point where I was getting into like the actual meta of the game.
Yeah. You want a fucking lozenge, Chris Davis? Sorry.
Is this
It's a serious question. You want a lozenge? I can go grab you one.
I'm good. Thank you.
Hey, do it again and you're gone.
So that was one of the reasons why I was so fucking excited when they announced this game, because it is Monster Hunter coming back to a mainstream, like, powerful home console that has easy internet
Online.
access.
Exactly.
Yeah. Like, this is exactly where the
And
series should have been the whole time.
Especially because it's on PlayStation, Xbox. It's not on Nintendo's online connectivity has never been the fucking best.
No.
And something
understatement of the
And
year.
it's always been. I mean, and it's not just Nintendo's online connectivity. Like Capcom does some weird things, and they even did it here in this game that I'll get into in just a second. But Monster Hunter had kind of like gone for what the Eastern market wanted, which was the ability to play it like out and about, like during your day with other random people, which, I assume makes sense in Japan. That's what we've been told, is that's how people in Japan play games. I assume that makes sense, and I assume that's something they wanted. And there, there's been a dying console market in Japan, so it's kind of understandable why it went that direction. But I feel like it has kept this series from being the success they want it to be in
You
the
can't
West.
expand the brand in the West unless you go to different media.
There have been diehards who follow every single entry, but it has been a niche thing for, I mean, since it's been here.
Yeah.
Basically. This game, I think, has a shot of bringing it into the mainstream. And based on my limited experience with Monster Hunter, it's pretty much Monster Hunter. Like, it's not this huge kind of status quo shift for the genre. It's more of just like an incremental improvement on what was already there, adding some new features to make it maybe a little more welcoming to people. Like, one thing that people were really, like fans were really kind of hung up on, and I think a portion of them still kind of are hung up on, is the tracker flies, those green flies that fly around, because that basically as you go through
Makes
the world,
it a lot easier, doesn't it?
It does. You can find like elements in the environment, like you can find if the monster leaves footprints, you can find footprints, or like if they leave some sort of like goo everywhere, you can find whatever that is, and the flies will pick up on that, and then it'll let you
Like track it
follow a
down,
trail to them.
Yeah.
You know. Now for my money, I don't think that's a big deal, only because these maps that you're playing in are actually pretty big. They're pretty windy. Like, they're not just big flat open areas. They're definitely like paths and trails.
Yeah,
and stuff
I
that you have to
remember
follow.
when we saw it at E3.
Yeah.
They were in like this whole like forest tree system where you're going like way up in the trees and you can drop down and you find like fucking a cavern system. But yeah, it's not only is it wide, but it is very vertical and it's like intertwining and stuff like that.
But it's not all seamless, right? It's
No, it
broken.
is.
No, yeah,
It
it's
is.
seamless.
Yeah, there's no loading. Even, like, I don't know if you saw earlier in the video, I fast traveled from one camp to another camp on the other side of the map, and it just picks you up and drops you over there. Once you load into the map, it is all seamless.
Even after death?
Even after death. I mean, if you die, it takes you back to camp, so there's a scene of you being carted back into camp, but there's not like a load screen that you have to wait for.
That explains like the 1 minute loading you had in your
Right.
footage.
It loads everything up front, and then it stays during your time in the map.
So what did the beta like limit you? I mean, obviously they can't give you access to the whole thing.
So yeah, the way the beta limited you was, you had a menu where you could pick one of the 3 available quests. I don't remember what the monsters were. They were all kind of like low and mid-tier monsters. And those were spread across 2 different maps. So there was the foresty map, which we saw in all the beta footage. And then this one, which we saw also, but not as much of, is the desert area.
Yeah.
Okay? But the cool thing is, it gives you access to that whole area. So you don't have to just hunt the monster that the mission is for. Like, this mission that I'm doing here is to hunt some, like, I don't know, some little rhino-looking thing. But this group I fell in with was like, no, fuck that, we're going to go after Diablos, which is what this thing is.
This thing you've been
So-
fighting for like 10 minutes?
Yes, so,
Nick.
We
Oh.
fight the
Nick,
whole
that's-
time.
that's
we fight,
Monster Hunter.
We fought, spoiler alert, we went the whole 20-minute time limit, and we still failed. We didn't even get it limping at that
Whoa,
point.
sorry, back up. Time limit?
Yeah, every mission has a time limit.
Is
It's
that,
usually
is
like
that just
20.
for the beta or the whole?
No,
that's
that's
how
the
the
game.
game
That's how
works.
Monster Hunter's always been. It's usually like
Oh.
20, 30 minutes, something like that. I know time limit is a charged word and like scares people, but trust me, it's not a thing. Like it's part of the whole challenge of the game. It makes you want to like go back and do it right, you know?
Gotcha.
Kind of thing. You don't necessarily feel like you're. I mean, it's 20 minutes.
But
know?
you can explore the world without accepting any missions without being limited to it. By,
I mean,
right?
kind of.
Well,
I don't.
you
Like,
can't
you
leave
can
your-
accept a mission and go out and then just like ignore it. But like these environments are completely wilderness. There's not
I know, but-
really.
I'm just saying you can't like willingly walk out of your camp without accepting a mission.
Well, we don't really know. I haven't seen what the hub world structure is going to be yet. In previous Monster Hunter games, that's exactly what it was. Is you had a hub world, like think of the tower from Destiny.
Yeah.
Where you go to your blacksmith, buy consumables, change equipment, train, do whatever you need to do. You'd go to the job board, you'd select a mission, and then you'd go to like a gate. There was a gate, and you'd hit like whatever the interact is on that gate, and it would load you into whatever map you were going to.
And you're
for
on a
your
mission at that point.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Like I said, you can go. I think they've had free explore modes before. I'm not entirely sure because exploring the environment and collecting resources is a big part of what you do in this game. Otherwise, you can take missions for like lower level monsters and then ignore it, or there are a lot of monsters, especially early on, that it'll only take you like 5-10 minutes to beat it, and then you've got another 10 minutes to run, 20 minutes or whatever to run around and do whatever you need. It sounds kind of obtuse if you haven't played it, but it works, trust me.
Okay.
The cool thing about what we're doing here is each one of these worlds has, they've talked about it in the trailers and the previews and stuff, but each one of these areas has a food chain, basically. They have a pecking order of monsters, and each area has like one monster that's the big daddy, that's the one that rules the ecosystem. And here it's this Diablos thing. Okay, that's why this is so fucking difficult, and it kind of became a thing for people. I mean, for longtime fans of the series, this is a natural thing for them to do. But the big goal throughout the beta for most people was hunting this thing and hunting the big daddy in the foresty level, which is called,
that was the demo they showed at E3, wasn't it?
Yeah, the Rathlos.
Yeah,
it's another dragon-looking thing. And the Rathlos is like the great granddaddy, like cover monster for the whole series. Like it's the most famous monster in the whole thing. And that's one of those things where it's like you need to get in a group with 4 people who are communicating, who are like statting themselves in a certain way to be efficient, and are coordinating their equipment, like what roles they're taking with each other, if you're even going to have a chance.
You can't just run in willy-nilly.
Right. It's very, very difficult. Luckily, on Sunday night, I started playing like at 2 a.m., and I played for a little bit, and I fell in with a group, a couple guys from Washington and a dude from like Hungary or something, who we all had mics. They were all pretty chill. We started talking. We took 3 attempts to beat Rathlos, and we did it on the 3rd try.
Nice.
And that was like, the one guy in the group was fucking flipping out because he'd been trying for 48 hours before that to get Rathlos and like couldn't do it. But it was really, really fun, and it was really cool, and like we had like, it was a really great like kind of camaraderie bonding moment, especially for a game like this where you're kind of running around and joining up with a lot of different people and doing things kind of ad hoc a lot, and I've had a lot of that going on in Destiny, and I've had a lot of that going on in Diablo, but it's never felt like as satisfying to come together with a group of like-minded strangers and complete a goal as it did when we beat the fucking Rathlos. That was awesome. Like, we really had to communicate and work together, and it felt satisfying.
And setting up these teams, is it like matchmaking, or is it like just people just free roaming the map?
So the way, I don't know how it's going to work in the final game, but the way the beta was set up was when you pick a mission, you had an option of doing matchmaking, which for me hardly ever worked.
Okay.
Or you could open up a server list and try to join from like a server list.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, so like people would start games, they'd have like a little lobby where they wait for other people to join in, and then they'd all ready up and the mission would start. That's how I found those guys that I did Rathlos with.
Dangle in chat says the matchmaking for the beta is not the one that is going to be in the final version.
The way it usually works is something maybe more akin to, well, I don't remember, because they had it in the Wii U version, and I kind of remember it being like you could either load into like a single player version of the game or a multiplayer version of the game, and when you did multiplayer, you could list your quest as like open, and you'd be able to like hang out in your hub city, and then people would randomly join.
Yeah.
The way it worked on the Nintendo versions, at least, though, was like you had to use Nintendo's kind of convoluted friend
we all know
thing,
how that goes,
right? It wasn't as bad when Wii U came around, because Wii U did eventually get to the point where you could just do screen names.
Yeah.
But in the beta here, they actually, every game that's made generates a random code that you have to give to people to join in. You can't just like, there's no like, there wasn't any in-game system to be like, invite friends, you know what I'm saying? I don't know what that's going to look like in the final version. It might be absolutely completely different. We don't know, but for the beta, it was a little like, why Capcom?
I have a couple questions.
Yeah.
Just as someone who's never played the series before, and this obviously being the first attempt at, really reaching at, like, broadening their audience. So it's not an MMO in the sense that when you're running around in the world in a mission, you're playing with other people, but like when you go into a mission, you have your team, but you're never going to run into other people out in the world.
You're not
right?
going to run into like random people out there that aren't part of your group, right?
Gotcha.
So like when you load into this game, the only player characters are you and your 3 partners.
Gotcha. Okay, that's what I
a little
figured.
disappointing.
Well, no, I mean that's
Monster Hunter.
that's the point of the
That's the
game.
way it's always been.
Yeah,
that's the only way it would work without making it a straight up MMO, which brings with it a whole
Plus,
other slew of...
Well, I picture like the shadows in Dark Souls.
Picture them what?
Yeah.
And them just like being there.
For what?
You mean like being able to just summon
like
people?
see hints of other people doing things?
Seeing hints.
Well,
The
I
only
think the problem
with that is in Dark Souls, usually people are locked into a small area, whereas this is just completely fucking open.
Well, not only that, like in Dark Souls, and I don't normally go for narrative reasons motivating design just because I feel like that's kind of backwards. But in Dark Souls, it makes more sense because the whole point of like the lore of that game is that there are different worlds that like cross and intersect and things like that. You'd have to come up with something to explain why that's going on in Monster Hunter that really just doesn't fit Monster Hunter. You know what I'm saying? And it doesn't really enrich your experience at all here because I don't know. Like they do have drop in and drop out co-op. Like you can have it where like people just like show up in your game if you have your game set to be open to that, or if you invite people, things like that. But this is I don't know. Like if you've never played Monster Hunter, I guess I could describe it as like an action RPG
with friends.
Boss rush.
Can you actually?
Yeah.
Can you go out? Is it realistic to expect yourself to be able to go out into the world by yourself and take down a monster like this?
Like this?
Yeah.
I don't know about this one. I mean, I'm sure that's a thing. I'm sure people do try to spec themselves up to get to that point. Your whole sense of progression with Monster Hunter is in the gear that you can make.
Yeah,
like your character doesn't really have level, your character doesn't really have like a skill tree or anything. It's all about
your gear, what
you can make, and that is completely gated behind the materials you get, which you need to kill certain monsters. Like, so for instance, you can make like a Rathlos set, which requires you to have like so many scales or bones or something from a Rathlos, which means you have to go kill a Rathlos many times,
Yeah. Which kind of reminds me of like Diablo, when you're just like, boss
farming.
Farming bosses and whatnot.
Yeah. Which Diablo's a little more like you're farming for random loot. In here, all your loot is going to be from crafting.
Crispy, question. When you fight a Rathlos, scale is it a guaranteed drop?
No, there's.
Okay, that's what I thought.
You will get something.
You'll get something, but it's not always.
Like, and the shitty thing is like, not shitty, but like the fucking the kind of like panicky part of it is that in order to get stuff from the monster you kill, you have to literally carve stuff off of the monster.
Yeah.
So once you kill it, everybody's immediately like carving, and you can do like 2 or 3 carves to get stuff. It's kind of random what you get, from what I understand, from like a pool of certain resources that monster can possibly generate.
So your other
like
team members...
if you kill the monster with like 10 seconds left, it's like, oh shit, I gotta like carve as much as I can before time runs out, or else this was like for nothing,
That sucks.
Yeah, that does suck.
I mean, that's the fucking game.
But
but I feel like the time limit should just stop when the creature dies.
Well,
that's
agree to disagree.
That's a design philosophy,
The whole point is like you're not just supposed to be getting by on this by the skin of your teeth. Like you got to get better. You got to be more coordinated to where you can actually like effectively take down these monsters. That's what keeps you coming back, if you will,
That's what keeps me.
So it sounds like you had a good
I'm
time.
getting fucked up by this thing here. Like I keep trying to dodge out of the way from his little like eruption, and I keep getting caught by it and thrown into the air, and I've lost all my potions. Oh, I fainted. Yeah, this whole thing just went to shit.
This is a January release, right?
January 26th.
Is this a day one for you?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh man,
this is gonna be my birthday present to myself. This is fucking dope. This is great too, because this game also, as far as I understand, has every weapon that they've ever done for the game. Every weapon type. Mm-hmm. So there's a bunch of weapon types, and they all do different things, and they all have different skill sets, and they've kind of revamped how some of the classic ones work. This weapon that I'm using here is called the Charge Blade. I think it's a newer one. I don't think it's appearing for the first time in this game, but it hasn't been around for very long. Mm-hmm. But it's basically like a sword and shield, and you have certain attacks that you do with the sword and shield, and as you're attacking, you're filling up these like elemental vials.
Yeah.
And then once you fill them up, you like slot the blade into your shield, and then the whole thing turns into a giant axe that's dealing bonus like elemental damage
cool.
with the vials that you filled up.
Yeah.
It's fucking dope. Yeah, this game is really, really, really cool. I don't think it's gonna be everyone's cup of tea. I really think you're gonna
It's something I want to try for sure. Especially now that
this is something, Nick. Oh, Nick,
what?
you're using like really cool, badass kind of
Are
fantasy
you about to make
style.
a dinosaur thing?
No, fantasy style. What I'm saying is you're using like fantasy style weapons and armor to fight dinosaurs and dragons. Like, it's fucking dope. It's okay to be excited by that.
No, I
like
am.
it's fucking so.
The thing
cool.
is, like, early February was at one point kind of crowded, and now it's less crowded. So maybe this might be something I kinda...
Okay, so I guess everything but the Tonfa from Frontier. So there's one weapon that they've done that isn't in this game.
We'll see. We'll see how January shapes up. It's definitely January is not the most crowded.
It's really really dope. I really think this is going to be a game that will appeal best to people who are willing to play online.
In regards to January not being crowded, 9 times out of 10, January is when I'm still finishing games from the previous year.
Absolutely. That's the other exciting factor there. But also, maybe we could figure out. Maybe we could do some kind of 4-player thing together on here.
That'd be really cool.
be fun. Maybe on the stream. We'll
Great.
talk about the possibility of that a little bit later. I have a game I want to talk about.
What's that, Nick?
Fucking Resident Evil 7. Played.
But that came out in January.
Both DLCs came out. So they released the Gold Edition this past week.
Yep.
Which I picked up, and it has all the DLC in the box or with it, which is there's 2.
Surprising.
Well,
I'm
okay,
honestly
sorry.
surprised it's on the disc.
Everything with the exception of the free one, the one called
yeah.
Not a Hero. That is still a download code, but it's free. You download it from the store. You don't pay a dime for it. I played through that. That's the one starring Chris Redfield. Mm-hmm. Spoiler alert, I guess.
I think most of us knew that.
Yeah. So and there's
Is this VR right here?
No. I recorded the footage outside of VR.
Okay.
But
you played it all VR.
I played the whole thing in VR. Yeah. This was my first time playing the game outside of VR, and I realized I have no idea what this game even looks like outside of VR, or how certain things control. Because in VR, you're aiming by looking with your eyes.
Yeah.
So like it was very jarring.
Was there like this weird moment of just like, oh, this is a first-person shooter?
Yeah, actually there was. I was like, oh, this is what this feels like. This is how like probably a vast majority of people who played this game experienced it. But I played the whole thing on Tuesday in VR. There's 2 DLC packs. This is the footage you're watching right now is from Not a Hero, which is the one starring Chris Redfield. Mm-hmm. Very combat focused DLC, which is actually kind of nice considering Resident Evil 7 by and large was a much slower paced.
It was,
which
I liked that. I loved that about it.
Yeah. I loved that aspect of it, but I did the few parts in that game where I was actually in combat I enjoyed, and I was kind of like, it'd be nice if there was more of that, because it is fun. So this whole DLC is kind of like, you obviously play Chris Redfield, and he's kind of the badass he's always been. So you go into the DLC and you immediately have this like really awesome pistol and like one of the best shotguns I've played with this year. Although those are the only 2 weapons in the DLC. You have, and then you have grenades. So the whole who here played Resident Evil 7?
Yep,
you did.
I think Krispy, you didn't, right?
I did.
Yeah, everyone. But
so the kind of setup for this DLC is you're going after Lucas, which was the son of the Baker family in Resident Evil 7.
Like 2/3 way.
Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
He's the guy who sets up all the like the
crazy
traps and puzzles and stuff.
That was so good.
Which is so cool.
Fuck
and
Brad for not liking that.
I mean, dude, that's some of my favorite parts of that whole game.
Yeah.
And there's even a few other little tidbits of that in the other smaller bite-sized DLC packs, like the birthday party and stuff. Mm-hmm. So you're going after him. Which leads you into this like cave system underground, and the cave system kind of like breaks out into like separate like areas, and each one of the areas is kind of like booby trapped. And there was actually a moment in this because you're trying. The first objective is you're trying to find 3 of your fellow soldiers.
Okay.
You've lost contact with them. And you find them in like one of them you find who's in kind of like this like weird setup, and it's one of those rooms like I'm gonna help you, and you walk in the room and then you trigger something and you're like, oh shit, and then some fucked up shit happens. You know what I'm talking about? And I was, for a second playing in VR, I was like, oh my god, what if they made a Saw video game in VR? And I just realized like that is the most disturbing thought.
You deafened so many people with that scream when you saw what happened.
Oh, well, yeah, it was fucking horrifying. There is some fucked up shit in this DLC.
Nice.
But kind of like the twist on the gameplay in this DLC was, and aside from the fact that it's very combat focused, is that they introduce these new enemy types that are like infected with this special kind of mold that like basically makes them constantly regenerate. Like they're kind of like the regenerators in Resident Evil 4. Like you shoot them in like the arm or whatever, and after a few seconds it'll grow back.
Yeah.
So you can't actually kill them until you get a special kind of ammo that basically weakens them that will allow you to then kill them.
Doesn't allow you to see their soft spots that you can shoot.
No, it's not. It doesn't work like that. Unfortunately, that was still one of my favorite parts about Resident Evil 4. It was fantastic. But that was kind of cool. This is all kind of very contained. You know, the whole thing kind of takes place in this cave system for the most part.
So it's all green the whole time.
Well, no, it's like this particular section that I'm in is just kind of constantly infected with this airborne toxin, or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So
you
need
a mask.
So you need to find a special mask that allows you to go into this one. You eventually find night vision, as you saw. So
Suckers!
They end up sending you into like these really dark areas which you can't traverse, or you don't want to traverse until you have night vision, which is actually a really cool effect too in VR, as you might imagine.
Mm-hmm.
But for the most part, this DLC was pretty straightforward, but it has some really satisfying moments. Some light puzzle solving, which was nice. But it was also just, like, literally you walk into this DLC, you walk down a path, and also there's like 3 of those molded creatures coming towards you, and I'm just like, oh shit, and then start shooting.
Yeah.
So it gets straight to the point pretty quickly, and for the most part, because of that, it doesn't feel quite as tense or as frightening as a lot of Resident Evil 7 did. But it felt different, which was nice. And I can't remember how long has this footage been rolling, because it's eventually going to bleed into the second DLC that I played, which I guess I can go ahead and start setting up now.
Sure.
Because that is the one. Yeah, here we go. Perfect
timing.
The end of Zoe. So, as Chris Davis knows, in Resident Evil 7, you have to make a decision.
There's only one choice.
There's a right and a wrong decision.
No.
This DLC builds off of you assuming you've made the right decision. You've chosen your wife over Zoe. So you end up leaving Zoe behind, right? And this DLC apparently is just kind of like, this is what happened to Zoe after you left, right? I didn't know
you abandoned her. You
Obviously,
bastard.
the creators of the game made a DLC that follows the only logical choice that you would make.
Correct.
They didn't make one called The End of what's your wife's name?
Mia,
because no one would have chose to left Mia.
All right, so before I get too far into this footage,
Fuck you both.
let me just give you the setup here.
Okay.
Because I did not expect this at all.
Okay.
I had no idea what this was. I thought you played as Zoe in this DLC. Not the case.
Oh, yeah.
You actually play as...
Swamp Man.
You play as a member of the Baker family.
That's cool.
You play as her uncle, who's like living in the shack in the woods.
Yeah.
And you fight...
What the fuck? You punch them?
You punch things. That is your primary weapon in this game.
That's kinda sweet.
You fist fight dudes, and the entire time he's delivering like, "Die, motherfucker!"
Yeah.
It was so unexpected, so left field. I had no idea this was coming.
Yeah.
Other things that they've kind of thrown in here to make it that
Punch
are
you in the
really
butt.
weird. Your main source of like healing is like you have to scavenge for like they call them critters. So like you can rip tree bark off of trees and find grubs.
Nice.
You can find centipedes under rocks. You can find crawfish in the swamp, and then you use those to
Golden
concoct
crabs.
like.
Wait, you played Jodan Baker?
You play Joe Baker.
Oh shit!
And you can do stealth kills.
You
And
get stealth kills. You eventually get like
you can snap the necks of mold monsters.
You
That
guys
that is
play
so.
Jodan Baker games.
Okay.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
Yeah, you do.
I don't. But the point is, like, I went into this DLC. I had absolutely no fucking clue what was coming, and this whole DLC, like, you eventually get things like spears that you're crafting spears, and you're fighting alligators. You can punch alligators in the face.
Nice.
Alligators are, by the way, terrifying in VR.
I can imagine.
Because a lot of times you have to wade through like swamps, and you'll see the alligators coming, and if they get too close, suddenly they'll like turn towards you, start swimming at you really fast, and you only have like a split second to react. And that shit is pretty messed up when you're
In VR.
in the moment. But yeah, this whole thing, like it's weird because like the tone of the DLC is like quite a departure. And I remember like talking to Brad about Resident Evil 7 a little bit in Discord and whatnot. And you know, Brad's always been kind of a proponent of maybe the crazier side of Resident Evil. And,
Sure.
Like you know, Resident Evil 4 is crazy shit. There's like a.
It does have crazy shit.
Like
Swap
Napoleon,
Napoleon,
like
Yeah,
but like
Napoleon.
You know, Resident Evil for the most part has always been like it started, you know, pretty straightforward, like zombies, and eventually it kind of got crazier. And I was never the biggest fan of like when it starts to get like really, as Brad likes to put it, like really stupid. This for like, and this is kind of what this DLC leans into. Like it totally leans into like he's making one-liners the entire time. You're the whole like running joke that the DLC is kind of you're playing this like hillbilly.
Alligator.
Yeah, dude, those are the alligators. They're enormous, as you can see. But it really leans into that, and I was surprised because Resident Evil 7, I think, is the first game I can honestly say in the entire series that has made me kind of appreciate and enjoy the crazier aspects of the Resident Evil story. Mm-hmm. Like the bananas, just out there left field bullshit. Like the weird juxtaposition between like being out in the woods with like this hillbilly family, like juxtaposed against like this extreme military group that kind of swoops in and is trying to save the day and stuff. Like for whatever reason, I feel like it works so much better in this game than it did in the other ones, and I was really enjoying it. Like, and it goes all the way to the end. It just gets crazier and crazier. Like, I don't even want to spoil it, but there's some.
You played this in VR.
I did, whole thing.
Okay.
By the way, this is pretty fucked up. Sorry.
Then the thing I have to ask then, the punching.
Yes.
Was that manual with the move controllers?
No. I mean, I don't know. No, I didn't use move
Because I would have appreciated that.
R2 and L2 to punch. I don't know if I don't even know if you can use.
I don't think this game has move support.
I don't think it does. I feel like it would make sense to do that, but that's not the way I played, and I found that it worked pretty damn well for the most part. But yeah, like I got about between these two DLCs, I got about 4 extra hours of gameplay out of it.
Cool.
And I think they're both very, very much worth playing.
So, what's the problem with Zoe?
So Zoe's in Resident Evil,
you gotta play the game.
7.
She's infected with a thing, as you can probably tell, and you play her in the DLC. You play her uncle, and he's kind of like a.
She has a very bad day.
Yeah, she has a very bad day in Resident Evil 7. So she thinks she's being left to die at the end of Resident Evil, towards the end of Resident Evil 7. So you're kind of this her story,
continuing
after,
her story from
yeah.
when you left her.
Well, if you
from a completely
No, when you left her.
But what did she do to make you guys hate her?
No one hates Zoe.
No one hates her, but you're literally given the choice between like you have one vial of to cure, right? And you have 2 people. One of them is your wife, and the other is this woman you've met maybe 10 minutes before.
Who has also been helping you throughout the entire game.
Your wife helped you throughout your life.
Versus your wife, who cuts off your hand with a fucking chainsaw.
All right, let's not get too
and tries
spoiler
to
here.
murder you several times.
But obviously,
And who's to say Zoe wouldn't?
Also, yeah,
she didn't.
But if she was
also-
infected with that shit, she would have.
It didn't happen yet.
Let's be real for a second, Chris Davis. It's very obvious from the get-go that your wife is infected with something and that she's not doing it of her own free will. So
We've had this discussion before. We don't need to have it again.
we're not having it again.
We've already determined Chris Davis is wrong. Let's move on.
Yes.
All of you.
The point is, both these DLCs are fantastic, especially if you have the opportunity to play in VR. I continue to scream that from the rooftops. This game is so good in VR.
Cool.
Moving on.
Moving on. So
next?
fucking good. Is it more stuff from me? Wait, you got a game.
I got a game. Yeah.
What's your?
So I got a game that came out in January as well. That
Yeah.
I finally fucking started in December.
Fantastic.
I said at the beginning of the year I was gonna fucking play this, and I
did
kept
too.
my word.
I did too.
And
I have not.
I am the farthest in it besides Brad because he beat it, but I'm on his coattails. Yakuza 0. This is my first Yakuza game. I've never played a Yakuza game. I've always wanted to play a Yakuza game ever since I saw the fucking highlight of Brad and David playing it, and it was not even translated, and there was that scene when they're kind of dubbing in the lines or whatever,
Oh,
and like,
God.
it's how big? Just stuff like I thought that was fucking hilarious, and I knew it wasn't that wasn't the entirety of the game. I know it's a brawler, and I've always known it's been a humorous game. I've always known it has good stories, and that was kind of thing I've been interested in. Finally, I got a chance to actually play it. Well, I've had chances, but anyway. So yeah, Yakuza 0. I'm enjoying the shit out of it. I do like that the game spans 2 character storylines, and you kind of jump back and forth. I like that.
When I walked in, it sounded like you were kind of preferring one over the other one, though?
So not necessarily. I mean, it's tough. So you start the game as a Kiryu.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Kiryu. I don't know the best way to pronounce it. It's kind of weird. Kiryu. And then you play as Majima, and so they're very different. Kiryu he's a recent addition to the Yakuza, but he actually gets he leaves the Yakuza, which is kind of a weird thing to happen.
Yeah.
And so he's 20 years old. He's a young guy. He's kind of just new to this world. Yeah. Whereas Majima is actually he's been in the Yakuza for a long time, but he did something, you don't know what, and he's being punished for what he did.
I vaguely remember the setup.
Yeah, and so they're very different people. And they also have very different fighting styles. Like Majima, by default, just has a bat, and I actually love how that comes into play in combat, because often when you're fighting people, sometimes you'll be someone in front of you, and when you swing your bat, he goes like 180, so he'll hit someone behind him too. And I really like being able to kind of jump in between somebody and do that, so you can hit multiple people. But yeah, so anyway, I'm really enjoying this game, and I really wish. If someone at the beginning of the year had sat me down and was like, "Hey Nolan, in Yakuza 0, you get a job in real estate, and you buy buildings which make money, which you then use to buy more buildings," I would have fucking been sold right then and there. Because I love that shit. That's one of the things I loved about Assassin's Creed 2, when you were at Montergione and you had to buy the properties and stuff, which gives you more money, which you can use to either buy upgrades and equipment and stuff, or you can put that back into buying more buildings, which earns you more money. And this fucking game takes it a goddamn step further, because not only do you buy buildings, you can improve those buildings, which will make you more money. Then there's this whole management system where you have managers, advisors, and security. So you can assign someone to be an advisor on a building that will help you improve it. You can have them manage the building, which means in the process of the building earning money, they can either earn more or less, whatever. They all have different skill sets. And then you have someone assigned to security, because when you don't own a region, when you only have a couple of buildings there, people will come and attack. And that's actually what happened at the beginning of this footage. Yeah. Was one of my regions, I only had a couple buildings there. And so the people who own the majority of it don't like me moving in on their turf, so they'll kind of stop the process of me earning money. Also, by the way, when Chris Davis and I were playing earlier, I won a bowling challenge, which earned me a chicken named Nugget, who is a financial manager.
What?
And a good financial manager.
He's actually pretty good. Nugget is managing one of my properties.
Although the challenge was to bowl a turkey in bowling, and the prize instead of a turkey was a chicken.
Dude, this game is fucking amazing. The humor in it is great. I met a fucking, so that's one thing, and I kind of talked with Brad a little bit about this. I don't know how long the actual story of this game is, but these sub stories, which are just random people you fucking come across in the street, have some of the fucking most hilarious scenarios I've run into. I ran into a mistress. She's a hostess at an S&M club, but she was not very good at her job. This guy was like, "Oh, punish me," and she's like, "I'm sorry, I don't know what you want me to do. How do I help you?" And he's like, "You're doing a horrible job. That's not what you're supposed to do." He's like a masochist, and he's like, "I want you to and so you take her to a side and you try and teach her how to be a better dominatrix. I think it's called something dominatrix or something. And so you go to a park.
Teach her about sounding.
Yeah, and she's all yeah, exactly. And he's like, "Oh, well, blah blah blah. I want to do this." And she's like, "Oh, what do you want to do?" And he's like, "No, you're supposed to say I'm a pig and I'm this. I'm horrible." And then you're in, these kids walk up and they're like, "Hey, what's going on?" And she's like, and he's like, "Yeah." He's like, "Say you got an audience and you like to be humiliated, don't you?" And it's fucking hilarious.
I love the punk band.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I remember Brad talking about the
guy with
band.
the pompadour or whatever, and there's all these guys in this band, and they're none of them are good. They're not really good at what they do. And he's like, "Oh, what should I say when the audience asks me questions?" And it's like, "Oh, you don't say anything," and just stand there. And then the audience is like, "Oh my god, he's amazing.
So cool.
Yeah. Dude, like, some of the side stories in this game are so good. Like, you know, meeting people, like, doing karaoke. There's, oh my god. I hope it becomes a highlight, because it's fucking hilarious. There's like a call center. And apparently, I don't know if this is a real thing in Japan, but how it works is a guy goes to the call center, and he pays some sort of money. I don't know how much it is.
Oh, yeah.
Girls call in, and you answer the phone, and you talk to them. And if they like you, they might meet you up for a date. And so, like, I'm like on the phone with these women, and like you have to ask them questions, but it's like a mini game. So it's like, to ask them questions, there's multiple, like, they'll ask you a question, like, like, what do you like to do for fun? And like, there'll be all these words floating around on the screen, all these phrases. Thank you, Beck, for highlighting that. And like, one of them's like karaoke, which makes sense. But then one of them's like kangaroo. Like, there's like fucking like random shit like floating around, and you have to kind of like launch like a missile almost. You have to kind of line up a shot and launch it at it. But if you miss and you hit the wrong one, he'll say something funny or something like. And I'm trying to remember some of them, but like one of them was like, I'm trying to think what the actual thing was. It's like, oh, what do you like about me? And it's like your voice or something. And I was trying to hit the right one, but I accidentally hit your breast or something. I like breasts. And like, it's hilarious.
Straightforward, honest.
And so finally, I get this girl to meet up with me, and it's like, cool. So she's like, yeah, let's meet up inside a theater. We go, and I'm like,
wait, is this the same girl who you told you liked her breasts?
Maybe, I can't remember. But yeah, so we're waiting. Your nose or something like that. Yeah. There's all this like funny stuff. Like, one of the answers was like funnel cake. But honestly, if a girl was like, hey, what's going on? And you were like, funnel cake, wouldn't the girl be like, oh, fuck yeah, I love funnel cake. Let's do it. You know?
Probably.
But anyway, so I'm waiting for her to show up, and she fucking doesn't.
She stands you up?
Yes, I was so fucking pissed. I was like, what the fuck is this shit?
This you can get stood up in this game?
Yes.
Oh shit.
And then
rejection.
Yeah. There's so many. Oh, there's this whole. This is
rejection. The game.
This is a whole mini series. Like, there's like multiple sub stories in this particular one right here. So I have this real estate business, and I'm looking for more people to work for me. And these people come and show up, and like this guy's like talking. He's like, "Oh, I have the best." Talking about how great his experience is and how all this stuff. And it's like, dude, like, this sounds too good to be true. You're like the perfect guy. And I told him like, no, and he was like, fuck you. I didn't even want this job. Pay my cab fare that I got to get over here. And it's like, no, like, yeah, there's this whole like little like, oh, like, dude, there's so much going on.
How much of this have you played?
Oh my god, I don't even know.
Oh man, you
at
played
least
that much?
Like 20 hours, maybe.
Damn.
Maybe less. I don't know. Like, I've been lost. Oh my god, Miracle Johnson is an American superstar that comes over to Japan to film a music video, doing his special.
Not what I expected.
Doing his special, I forget what it's called, walk down a street while zombies attack him, and he has like, he has the white hat, and he has the one glove on and the glasses, and his manager is Steven Spinning, I believe is his name, and he's the spitting image of Steven Spielberg. And it's just, there's this whole fucking like sub story of Miracle Johnson, and then like you have to help him do his music video, and then later on you meet him again at like a dance club, and he's like, oh, we gotta have a dance off, and you like dance with him and stuff.
This game sounds like it's fucking bananas.
It is, and it is bananas in the best fucking way. And the thing is, almost everything I've described has just been about Kiryu. Like, Majima has his whole other storyline where he like manages hostess club, and you played Majima, right?
Yeah.
Like, the first time you're introduced to him,
Majima's introduction is just
there's like
what the
there's
fuck
this
is
guy
going on?
who's like groping women in the club and stuff, and like Japan's very big on like women like being there with a man and lighting a cigarette and serving him alcohol, but then like touching is like kind of a whole nother thing.
Yeah,
like,
that's a no-no.
Yeah, and so like he's doing that, and like Majima comes up and he's like, dude, like fucking stop. And like this guy like gets like, he tries to like fight him, but like Majima won't. He just keeps dodging his attacks and kind of whatever.
I love that his whole fighting style too is like based around the customer's always right.
Yeah.
So like the guy will try to punch him and he'll dodge and like come out of the way and have like a hot towel. For
he's
guy.
like, oh, hot towel, sir. Like, dude, it's fucking hilarious. And like he's like complimenting the guy the whole time, and like by the end of it, the guy's like buying out like rounds for everyone in the fucking club. Like, he's like flipped it around on him.
He just makes him buy everybody in the place a drink.
Yeah,
and like the whole place is like applauding Majima. It's so, and he's doing this in a tuxedo, so it's just like, that much more amazing.
So the only reason I haven't seen more of Majima is just because, like I said, they go back and forth, and I got to the point where I'm Kiryu and I have all this real estate. So I've just been spending all this time, getting real estate. Oh yeah, and fucking Mr. Shakedown. Oh, have you run into Mr. Shakedown? Holy shit! So there's this guy that walks around town called Mr. Shakedown, and if he sees you, he will beat the shit out of you and take all of your fucking money.
What do you mean, all of your money?
All of your money.
All of your fucking money.
If you have 150 million yen, he'll take all.
He will take all of it.
Jesus.
And so you have to be very
Can you get it back?
Yes. So if you can find him again, you can. If you beat him, you can get it back. But you definitely have to go in prepared when you fight Mr. Shakedown with plenty of health.
Do you ever just see Mr. Shakedown walking through the street and then just run like a bitch?
Yes, every time. Every time.
But yeah, I don't know. I don't want to spend too much more time on it. But like I said, there's like I said, there's it's almost like it's like GTA in the sense that there's so much you can do in the world. Like I said, there's fucking mini games I haven't even done yet. There's some like weird like chess type game. There's like I said, there's bowling. There's karaoke. You can go like I said that actually. So I did actually meet a girl over the phone line. We hit it off. We went on a date. She enjoyed her time with me. And I can call her up again later and go do karaoke with her or something like that and kind of like hang out. There's a whole there's so much content in this game. There are all these like fucking like calling cards for women that you find around the world, and if you like get a whole set, like you can show them to some guy and he'll give you some money, or like I don't know if you can like call those women. I don't really know how that one works.
You should try.
Oh my god! Oh my fucking god!
You can unlock videos.
Oh my god!
So I go, I think you watch like the erotic videos.
Oh, that's
which are
right.
Fucking,
I remember the erotic videos.
They are interesting to watch, especially on the feed. Thankfully, the game puts it in a smaller TV, so it's not like the full screen. It's very obvious what you're watching. But yeah, so I go and the thing was, I was telling you earlier about it, Nick. There's something in this game called CP.
Yeah.
And you need CP to unlock upgrades for yourself. So, run faster around the world, take more money from people when you beat them up, all this stuff. And so one of them was, oh, hey, watch 5 videos at the erotic video store. And I was like, oh, that's easy. Let me just go watch 5 videos and I'll get a CP.
I do that every day.
And so after my 4th one, there's this guy in there. And he's like, oh, I want to watch the video. And the guy's like, dude, you always come in and watch the same fucking video and no one else can watch it. I'm not going to let you watch it. And he's like, but I love her. She's the best. Like, I need to, like, blah, 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 all this stuff. And Kiryu's like, I mean, I want to watch it now. And so the guy's like, well, we can watch it together. And I was like, all right. and so we go in there, and like I'm sitting in front of the TV, and the guy's like leaning over my shoulder. I'm sure like fucking his hot breath on my neck, and he's like talking about it. And we like watch the video, and it's like honestly one of the worst videos I had seen out of all the ones I had seen so far. But yeah, and so like at the end of it, the guy, like the thing was, it's really weird at the end because he like Kiryu is always like, and there's like it zooms in on a box of tissues, and then like he makes some comment about how like, oh, we did it together or something. And I'm like, did they like finish together? Like what happened in that room?
That makes me mildly uncomfortable.
But then like the best part is he's like, I've heard she's around town. Like if you find her for me, like I will be forever in your debt. And like finally you see her like coming out of this barbecue place, like Korean barbecue, and you're like, oh shit, there she is. You're like, dude, come on, she's over here. And like you meet up and he's like, oh, you're the girl from the video. And she's like, what are you talking about? And it's like not the same person. And he's like, no, my world has come crashing down on me. But man, like all of the this was the end of that storyline, and that like I had interviewed 2 people and they were shitty people, and I interviewed the 3rd guy and he was like kind of like a wimpy guy, but kind of he's like nice.
Yeah.
And then when you leave the building, those 2 people I earlier interviewed were like beating up this fucking dog. And like one of the guys was like, yeah,
worst game.
I can imagine this being Kiryu. I like the noises it makes when I beat it up. And the other guy that I interviewed was like, dude, fucking stop. That's not cool. And so they beat the shit out of him instead of the dog.
And then you beat the shit out of them.
No, you didn't.
Oh.
They leave, but he saved the dog. And so by being beaten up. But yeah, I don't know. Like like I said, this game, I'm really glad I finally got around to playing a Yakuza game. I don't know how many chapters are in it. I don't know how close I am to the end. Probably not super close.
Though I seem to remember there being like 70 hours.
December 14th. I think Brad was like around like 80 or something like that. But like I said, I'm definitely gonna continue playing it. I was doing some karaoke when y'all are here earlier.
I saw that.
It's a lot of fun. That's another great thing. You like racing games, like pole position. There's like a pole position style because every one of these like sections where you have to take over is ruled by a different person. Like there's the electronics king and the leisure king and the gambling king. And when you take over their sections, you actually have to like do something. So like the leisure king, he challenged me to karaoke and I had to beat him at karaoke. And the electronics king, it challenged me to that video game, and so I had to beat him at that video, whatever. And so I don't know what the pleasure one's gonna be.
There are 17 chapters.
Holy fuck! I'm on chapter 5.
Holy shit!
Well, I'm sure the later.
I
have
faith.
faith.
Finish this and get it back to me before the end of the year.
I have faith, Nolan, and then you can finish it before the end of the year, Crispy.
Wow.
And then you can wait 90 days
apparently
for Yakuza
not.
6.
Oh, good lord!
Yakuza 6 coming out against 6 other games at the end of March.
Yep. Good
there's
lord.
There's a lot of Yakuza games, and honestly, like given some time, I would definitely want to go back and play some of the older ones.
Go back to this now. Damn it.
Sorry, Krispy.
I got a game, real quick.
What's your real quick game, Nick? If it's the game I'm thinking of, it shouldn't be real quick.
Well, I'm only say real quick because I've only played like 5 hours of it.
Oh, holy shit, Nick! Come on.
I'm playing Hollow Knight.
Finally
started Hollow Knight.
Finally.
This game is a delight.
Is it not?
It's
like,
also kind
fucking
of
magical.
It's also a little bit rage-inducing at times.
It can be. It's not an easy game.
I fought the second boss in the game.
Which one was
last
that?
night?
Dung Defender.
No,
I think he's like third or fourth.
What's her name in the green green path?
Really?
I think I fought a few.
The girl in green path. Hornet. Yeah.
Oh, Hornet. Yeah.
I fought her. I probably fought her 20, 25 times last night before I finally beat her. And it's not because I didn't know what to do. I knew exactly what to do, but I just kept fucking up the timing. And she has this attack where she throws this like needle and then she pulls it back, right? And every time I just I fall for it. Every time I jump over it and then it hits me on the way back in.
That is the thing about this game is when you get stuck on a boss, it's literally just all about learning the timing of their attacks and memorizing when they do what and being smart about it. And honestly, Nick, another thing I will say, and that might not be super relevant right now, but the more what are they called? The badges you unlock?
The charms. Yeah.
Don't be afraid to change them.
No, I did. I did.
Especially when you go into a boss fight, sometimes you will need to almost completely change the ones you have to help fit that boss's fighting
I assume
style.
you eventually unlock more slots for charms.
Oh, yeah, you do. Yeah,
so I for that boss last night, I ended up switching the charm out specifically for that fight.
Okay.
First of all, fucking love the look and style.
Can you imagine, Nick, that this is the first game from this studio?
It's incredible.
That's insane.
This game is charming as hell. For a combat system that is so simple, like it literally is just kind of swing a little sword or needle, whatever it is, like
nail
in one of these cardinal directions. That's kind of it. And, at least early on. It's surprising. Like, and that's kind of the only way you can defend yourself for the first 4 or 5 hours of the game. In fact, last night I beat that second boss 5 hours into the game, and I got my first upgrade.
Yeah,
I got the dash.
Yeah,
thank God I got the dash.
So I will say, Nick, that
watch this shit.
It's a slow burn. Oh, do you
watch? Wait,
do you
maybe
fall
not.
into the acid?
Every time. Guys, it's like this game only recognizes that I hit the jump button 8 out of 10 times.
So eventually, I will say maybe focus a little more on not exploring earlier on, and maybe even look at a map of where the upgrades are, because once you get the double jump, that completely fucking
I can imagine that completely changes the game.
And they're just those abilities that let you can you wall jump?
Not yet.
Okay, you'll get an ability that lets you wall jump.
Thank God.
Yeah, so I mean,
just having the ability to he walks so slow.
He does walk slow.
Just having the ability to dash.
He is adorable though. But how's the music?
Dude, I'm gonna buy the soundtrack hands down.
I listen to it almost on a daily basis.
It is very good.
Like I was mentioning Dung Defender because he's one of my favorite sound. His boss battle music. It's so good.
Yeah, no, every song that I've come across so far in the game has been fantastic, and I love the characters you meet throughout the world, and I also love it. It kind of like Dark Souls has that sense of when the world kind of feels like Dark Souls in that it's very abstract, very obtuse, and when you meet people they're all very different personalities, and you're kind of like, what is this guy? What is he doing?
It very much reminds me of like Miyazaki style.
Yeah, it's like a 2D Miyazaki Dark Souls in a lot of ways.
That's a pretty good description of the game.
But on that note, I was also not really expecting it to be this hard.
Oh,
I thought this was going to be kind of like a wham bam, thank you ma'am, I'm done with Hollow Knight, moving on kind of experience.
I mean, I can look it up.
He talked about it for like a month straight.
I know. But I knew there was going to be like 30, 40 hours of gameplay.
That was because I kept putting the game down.
But I didn't think it was going to be because it's fucking hard as balls. I thought it was just going to be like, it was a lot of content.
Let me look up my Steam real quick. I think I want to say I played it for like 30 hours.
I mean, but to be honest, like it also kind of reminds me, in terms of its difficulty, it reminds me a lot of Ori and the Blind Forest, which was also very challenging in terms of its platforming and its combat, and very demanding of the player. So I know I'll eventually get it, and I'm progressing. I love like the little, like when you find the little the
worms.
No, the things the what do you call it? Where the fast travel points.
Oh yeah, the bug.
Was it like a bull?
Yeah, I can't remember.
Stag.
Yeah.
Stag beetle.
The stagways.
Oh my god, those are so cool.
It's so good.
Like, this universe is just so fucking colorful and atmospheric, and it's so cool. It's just so good. I'm loving it. I don't really have a whole lot more to say about it at this point, because like I said, I literally just got my first upgrade last night. So, and that just barely kind of scratched the surface and opened up the traversal for me. So I'm obviously going to keep playing it. This is one of those games I'm going to try and finish by the end of the year, or at least sink a lot of hours into it for the end of the year.
Dude, how come I can't find Hollow Knight on my list of games?
I have no idea. Another just real quick mention. I'm done talking about Hollow Knight for now. I'll bring it up again. Actually, this is our last regular show. Well, no, we'll have a Christmas show. Never mind. I'll talk about it one more time.
And then you can talk about that other game.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Real quick mention. I started, because I finished Mario Odyssey, I started SteamWorld Dig 2.
Ah, nice. How's that one?
Dude, that game is made for the Switch.
Right?
It is so fucking cool and exciting. And
if I wouldn't have gotten it on PC just because I didn't want to wait for the Switch, I could totally see myself playing a shit ton of that on the Switch.
It runs beautifully on the Switch. Like there's absolutely no, if you have a Switch and you want to play this game, I feel like it's the ideal way to play it.
Oh, hands down. Yeah.
And the music's really cool. One thing I didn't know what the game sounded like really, and like the song that kind of plays throughout the whole thing, or like throughout the main town at least, whatever. It sounds like it's like the beginning. It sounds like it's the beginning of like some 80s synth song that like never quite gets going.
Yeah,
like, I don't know. It's really weird, but it's a really awesome soundtrack.
I also say that that it's another game where like the sound effects are satisfying.
Yeah,
like when you fucking hit something and it makes that very clank, or when you're digging through the dirt, or like it's very satisfying.
I'm learning very quickly too. I have to be very careful about how I dig, because I keep getting trapped.
Yep, that'll
down,
happen,
and I can't get out.
And later on, you will get some pretty cool upgrades. Like you'll get like a jetpack, and you'll get the ability to fucking like launch like a grappling hook fist, like fucking across like the map to farther than you can even see.
It's cool.
Yeah.
I don't have any, that's all I have to say about that, but
it's actually a fairly short game, so that's definitely one you can finish by the end of the year.
That's what I'll be knocking out pretty quickly, I think. But that's all I have to say about that. We have one more
to take a break.
Yeah, we have to take a break.
Well,
we have one more game to talk about briefly when we come back. I know, Chris Davis, you've been playing Golf Story.
Yes,
I want to hear you. I do want to hear about that, because that's another game I want to play. I don't think I'm gonna have time to play it for the end of the year, but I want to hear what your thoughts are on that. And then we're going to get into all of the Game Awards news. 9
hours is my SteamWorld did too.
Okay, cool. I can.
And also, like, I did a lot of the side shit in that game.
Wonderful. So we'll come back from the break here in just a minute. We'll talk a little bit about Golf Story, and then we'll jump into all of that Game Awards stuff, and we'll answer questions from our supporters on Patreon. So if you're watching us live, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this short break. Welcome back to the show. Like I said before the break, we have one more game to talk about. It's been a very impressions-heavy show, but there's a lot of games to talk about. Chris Davis.
Yes.
Tell me about this game that I kind of want to play.
This game called Golf
Story.
Golf Story is.
First of all, what platform are you playing on?
PC.
Play on Switch.
Oh, Switch.
It's only available on Switch right now.
Really?
I guess I thought it was. I thought it was PC and Switch. Okay.
I was really hoping that it was at least PC, but
oh man, I'm looking. I kind of want this to be my next Switch game after I finish SteamWorld.
There you go.
Yeah. Golf Story is the heroic tale of a nameless protagonist who decides to abandon his career and become a professional golfer.
It's basically like a JRPG, right?
I thought his name was Lion Forest.
Like, his name is never mentioned. Not even his wife mentions his name, which, by the way, the game starts and his wife decides to divorce him.
Because he plays too much golf.
He decides that he wants to be a pro golfer. And he's like, yeah, this isn't going to work out. And she gets pissed.
Does she not know how much money pro golfers make? Unless maybe he's just a terrible golfer.
And so you live in this town that's surrounded by golf courses, all of them themed.
Would you say it's a town of golf courses?
I mean, sure. Why
Everything's
not?
A golf course, I would imagine.
Because, I mean, there's, like, no stores in the town. Like, everything besides your house.
There's a pro shop. I see a shop right there. Pro shop.
Yeah, it's a pro shop on a golf course. There's no, like, grocery stores shit like that.
They sell golf things.
Pro shop.
So,
pretty sure they all eat golf balls.
So basically, the whole point of the game is you're going to become a professional golfer, and so you have to complete different circuits at these courses, playing 9 holes each.
Only 9?
Yeah, it's strange. I thought that was kind of weird too.
Pro golfers don't play 9-hole golf courses.
I play 18.
And in between, you're doing lots of typical JRPG like fetch quests and like various humorous side stories that
but everything you do in the game is through the filter of playing golf.
Yes. Like 90% of like whatever you do in this game is somehow directly linked back to golf.
Somehow directly tied to hitting a golf ball with a golf club.
Yes.
And how is the act of hitting golf balls with golf clubs in this game?
So the golfing is actually pretty good. It's very simple. And they introduce new concepts steadily over time.
Can you take the Joy-Cons off and use it like Wii Sports? That'd be cool.
I mean, if you could do that,
that would be so cool.
I don't know. It's all about power meters and just timing your button presses. Plus, I'm playing with a pro controller. I'm not gonna do that shit.
Yeah, I know.
Fuck motion controls.
Pro controller. What a plebe.
Yeah. So, but no, the writing in this game is probably the standout part of the game actually, because everything that's happening in this game will, at minimum, put a smile on your face. Like, all these different random quests that have absolutely nothing to do with fucking golf, you're suddenly doing. Like, early on in the game, you're at Well-Worn Grove. It's like the first golf course in the game. It's the one you grew up playing on.
Yeah.
And it's been infested by mole rats. And the mole rats are hiding out on the golf course, and they're stealing balls that people hit along the course. And the groundskeeper is fucking paranoid about it. He's like Bill Murray in Caddyshack, except like a little bit more insane.
Did you play Whack-A-Mole? Is this built into a Whack-A-Mole story?
No, it's not.
Damn.
It gets better.
Better than Whack-A-Mole?
So you team up with him to find out where these mole rats came from and what they're doing with all the golf balls.
They're doing something with them.
So you're
sticking them somewhere.
So you're hitting. So part of the quest is you're hitting golf balls along the driving range into the range of the moles
as bait,
and they're tracker balls, and they steal the balls and then they go off and do the thing, and turns out that there is.
Oh wait, you meant to spoil a quest?
Okay,
because I am going to play this game
because the outcome is pretty fucking funny.
Good, then let's leave it at that because I do want to play this game.
I guess I give half a spoiler here because. This is the thing I like about this game. It's you don't want to play it for like 5 hours straight. Mm-hmm. You kind of want to just play it in like bits of like an hour.
It's a game you play in short bursts. And it feels
good when you're playing it like that.
I would honestly say SteamWorld Dig 2 is that way too. Like it's good to play in short bursts.
Like you can go through nine holes on a course in like maybe 15 minutes.
But you can never go through the back 9.
Well, I mean, there is no back 9.
There's a back 9. The back 9 is the front 9.
Yeah, all of a sudden, this footage, I've finally gotten to this esteemed country club. I'm a brand new member. They throw a party, and all of a sudden, there's a murder mystery going on because somebody's disappeared. Somebody has supposedly been killed or kidnapped by a werewolf. like out of nowhere. And so you have to go around this place and find out what happened to the dude and
so you're like investigating.
Get clues.
That's kind of cool. But do you ever actually, in the course of doing these kinds of like mini side stories, are you ever actually like
playing golf? Yes.
Okay, wonderful.
Yes.
You have to like find the werewolf and
then challenge him to a game of golf.
You know, things like that happen in this game.
Well, that's cool.
Is there like putt-putt?
There is putt-putt. In fact, there is a putt-putt course in Well-Worn Grove, the first course. But in order to get into it, there are 4 switches somewhere along the main portion of the course.
You have to go on a quest.
And you have to hit golf balls at a distance and hit the buttons in order to activate the gate to open and get in.
Mm-hmm.
All the courses in this game are themed.
Yeah.
So you got like the basic classic course, but then you've got like there's like a haunted house course. There's Cheeky Beak Peak, which is
wait.
Cheeky Beak Peak.
Cheeky Beak Peak.
Cheeky Beak Peak.
It's a
mountain?
It's a golf course on a cliff
With birds.
with these cheeky beak birds
Cheeky beaks.
that will steal the balls, and they will, depending on the color of
beak?
the bird, they will do different things with it. So that's one of the things about this game, is that every course kind of has like this set obstacle to it, other than just the theme of it. That
They have their own like unique quote unquote sand traps.
I mean there are
Right?
sand traps and things like that. Yeah,
But like they have their own like thank you.
They're
They have
not
their own-
necessarily-
They're called bunkers.
They can
First
be-
of all,
yeah.
Sorry,
It's like-
golf
no, I don't know.
master.
Yeah,
Like
Grandmasters of Golf.
like the birds, depending on the color of the bird and how close you hit to them, they will have different behaviors on what they do with the ball. Like they'll toss it in the rough when you're on the green, or they'll throw it in a bunker, or they'll even throw it back onto the green to help you. And the AI will take advantage of that too when you're playing against somebody. So, I mean, here's an instance in which I need to unlock the door and get out of this room. I need to find the golf ball of this room and then play a little putt-putt and get in the hole there.
Oh, okay. See, I've always
it's all these little bitty things.
secretly
but they're
liked
all-
golf games.
They're all entertaining. It's all well written. The activities are good. And the pacing feels good.
Important final question.
Yeah.
Have you gotten a hole in one yet?
I've gotten several holes in one. And let me tell you, the fucking fanfare that happens when you get a hole in one, it's like the angels descend from the heavens and cry your name practically. And the thing is, this is an actual RPG. There are level up mechanics, and
But what kind of stuff does the leveling up actually impact?
it impacts your swing, your chance of slicing.
How do
control
different
your-
clubs work? Is it
There are different kinds of clubs that you mostly have to purchase.
Mm-hmm.
You can find some, but
do
they're sold in sets. You find them in sets, and each one will have different mechanics. Like one will give you an extra 10 yards on a drive, and it will have extra loft to it.
Yeah.
Sometimes they
why do you keep
will,
hiding under tables?
so that's part of this quest line. I'm trying to figure out.
Snooping?
I'm trying to figure out what happened to the guy who got kidnapped or killed by the werewolf. And so
I
I'm trying to find
think
clues.
werewolves do much kidnapping. I think they're pretty exclusively murderers.
I mean,
I'm just from my experience.
I'm just saying, spoiler alert, later on in this footage, there's a fucking werewolf.
Okay.
I
would hope so.
Yeah, part of this quest line is that you have to distract this lady who's occupying the front desk so you can actually leave the building and start exploring around the course in the middle of the night. And this game is just fucking charming. It is funny, it's well written.
It's on my list.
The actual golf mechanics are really good, and how they incorporate golf like in every way. And it's not just like regular golf.
So that's what I was
It's
about
like
to ask, 'cause
all
I know
the other
there's-
kinds of golf you
I
can
know
possibly imagine.
there's more than that. I know there's like frisbee golf and stuff like that. Like, isn't there like drone like?
I don't know
Drone
about
golf?
drones.
No.
yet.
I remember when we originally saw footage for this. There's like fucking drones.
There is like
unmanned aerial
Yes.
aircraft.
Well, no, man. Like like a little like man drone. We get unmanned. There's not a man on the
a
drone.
man drone.
Someone's
Oh, like a
controlling it.
robot?
Yes.
Did you just say robot?
Well, no, it's not a robot. It is a little flying machine that someone has a fucking RC controller
So
for.
it's an unmanned aerial drone.
Well, I mean, it's
A UAV?
manned to an extent. Someone's controlling it.
Come on, Nolan. You know what I mean.
Unmanned means there's no one actually in the unit.
Unmanned
Okay,
aerial
correct.
drones are operated by people. They're just unmanned.
Then yeah. Why aren't they unwoman?
Because it's only women who operate them.
That's what I was saying. Why can't a woman fly it?
No!
Yeah, a manned drone would be a vehicle. Wouldn't be a plane.
Oh my god.
Or a helicopter.
All right, I
Like,
think
does
that's
women drone on and on.
Oh,
God
You
damn
did
it.
that.
No, don't.
You did that.
Don't.
That was even a bit of a stretch.
Hey, I'm the only one here married.
Oh.
Well, on this this room anyway.
Wait, that's what I fucking
Oh.
I mean, there's a guy that's on the
Brad's in chat.
Yeah,
Brad's
said. I
watching
don't
us.
see anyone here.
Brad's watching us live because he won't listen. He won't download and listen to the show.
that's true.
During his countless free hours he has to play games like Neo. Bastard. Anyways,
That's Golf Story. It's a delightful game. I will really say that.
Delightful
I look forward to
is
being.
Delightful.
a word I had a feeling.
I
it might
really
be.
look forward to finishing this game.
It's sunny delightful.
I definitely won't play it this year.
Yeah, probably not going to get to it this year. But anyways,
But it's only like $15 on like Switch or
yeah,
and soon on Steam.
which probably
so.
implies it's probably also not the longest
really
game either.
worth
But
it.
that's cool. All right, we have a bunch of news.
Yeah,
Bunch of news.
See, that's remember during the break, I was like, I meant to do something,
Yeah.
and it was watch all those like
Watch all of those videos.
not all of them, but at least something. Like, the ones I forgot.
Brad reminded me. I did have another game I wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
You have
I started.
35 seconds.
I also started playing Prey again. That game's awesome. That game's hard. I don't have any resources left, and I don't know where to go, and I'm terrified.
That sounds like most of my experience with Prey as well.
Nice.
Yeah.
But that game was great.
Just start collecting just tons of shit, and then go back to your office and use the recycler.
There's more than just
Yeah,
the recycling
but
in
it's
your
like
office.
I've already collected everything on Talos. Everywhere I've been,
everything that's
and
not
then, like,
nailed to the floor.
The places that have shit I can go collect are also filled with scary monsters that are
gotta
murdering,
sneak.
that are murdering me. It's terrifying.
You should keep going now.
Although I've already killed like 2 or 3 nightmares, so like I'm feeling
Oh,
pretty
okay.
The nightmares feel
all right,
pretty cool.
underworked.
we are
All right,
not.
moving
This is
on.
not a Prey discussion,
Moving on.
but
that's
you should
it.
keep playing that. All right, news. So much news. So why don't we start with the quick one? There's delays. There's
Oh,
2
yeah.
big
I
delays
don't
that
mind
happened
that.
in the past week. Far Cry 5
Mm-hmm.
and Ni no Kuni 2
Yep.
have both been delayed. From Ni no Kuni was late January. Far Cry 5 was early February.
Yep.
They have both been pushed to March.
Which fuck March.
Far Cry 5 specifically being pushed to right around the same time as every other game coming out in March,
Including God of War.
including the rumored release date for God of War.
I mean,
and also
honestly-
the confirmed release date for Yakuza 6.
Yes.
Honestly, I don't mind that because it's not like it's close to the end of the year. It's all still at the
Yeah.
beginning, so I can definitely
you
spread
can just
them out.
prioritize them,
Yeah.
play them in order.
Problem is, it's the end of the fiscal year.
It just kind of sucks. Like
It's not to do with anything.
Far Cry 5 going up against something like God of War.
Yeah.
Like I would normally probably prefer to play something like Far Cry 5, but God of War we haven't
It's
had a
definitely
sequel.
a unique one.
We haven't
Yeah,
seen
unique
God of War in a while,
game.
and it's coming back and it looks very fresh.
I mean,
He has an axe.
There's
He has an
like
axe.
7 games launching within that 7-day span,
Yeah.
and it's a good variety of different stuff.
The
but
thing is,
it's
like,
eventually- it's going to crowd something out.
Ni no Kuni 2 got pushed to not the same week, but the week before all this happens, and Ni no Kuni 2 is going to be easily like a 60-hour game.
Probably.
So, because I mean, like I spent 50 hours plus or
Something like
more
that,
on
yeah.
Ni no Kuni 1, so and I definitely want to play Ni no Kuni 2. So, March just got really busy. February is also now less busy.
What's the fuck nickname for March?
What?
Farch.
Farch or muck?
I don't like either of those.
Farch.
Furch?
I didn't. We were making
Just call it fuck.
yeah.
January, February, fuck, April, May.
Exactly. So yeah, Ni no Kuni got pushed. That kind of leaves January
Little bear.
a little bare. I mean, the Dragon Ball Z Fighter
Yeah.
Z comes out, which I'm actually looking forward to, and Monster Hunter,
Looks so pretty.
and also that weird The Impatient, the VR
yeah,
Until
yeah.
Dawn game comes out in January. So
yeah.
there's that. So yeah, those are the big delays. But luckily it's happening at the beginning of the year. That's not too bad.
The fucks of March.
Next,
Oh yeah, fuck the Oscars. That too.
fuck the Oscars.
Fuck the Oscars.
Next news topic. I don't even know where we want to go from here. We're going to kind of start dabbling in. Let's go with
Go
Death
down the
Stranding.
list.
So this is actually
Man, how about that fucking trailer?
So let's just get the trailer out of the way. Because the trailer happened during the Game Awards. What the actual fuck?
Dude, my favorite
good
part
trailer.
was when the baby was like,
Yeah, okay.
like fucking
In his throat.
Yes. I think that was probably in his like stomach. That was
Yeah,
that went pretty far down.
I also liked when Norman Reedus was like, "Be quiet," and that mechanical thing was like,
All right,
immediately
so
goes off.
I feel like we could probably record like an entire like hour-long podcast trying to like decipher what the fuck that was about. So without getting into like the specifics of what that trailer was just really intriguing, and it kind of highlights how strange this project is, just in terms of the way it's been announced and the way it's been promoted. We're 2 trailers or more deep into
This was the
This was 3, yeah.
This game was actually announced This game was announced before like they made the deal with Sony to make this game, and
Correct.
it was announced within.
It was announced E3 2016.
We were there.
Yeah. It was announced within like a couple weeks of the deal going through, which is kind of. I think it was a week, maybe a few months. I don't know. It was a very short turnaround between when the deal was cut.
It doesn't matter.
Andrew House and Hideo did their tour in January.
Yep.
Yeah.
Keep going.
And then E3.
Semantics.
We still don't know what the fuck this game is.
Nope.
However, what I actually put as the news topic, which I think is probably more significant than the trailer, which was bizarre in the best kind of way, was Hideo Kojima actually did a interview during PlayStation Experience where he kind of lightly dabbled and touched on some of the some gameplay philosophy that was previously unknown. Kind of the driving force in this game from a design perspective is actually the idea that they want to break gameplay convention of what happens in a game when you die. So, like most games, you die, it would reload you back to a previous save or whatever. And this game, when you die, you keep going and something happens. They didn't go into too many specifics about that, obviously, but it sounds like when you're playing Death Stranding, whatever the actual like core gameplay is, we still have no idea. But when you actually die, you get transported to this place.
It's like an ocean environment.
And I think he said that's the kind of the ocean place that you keep seeing in the trailers.
Okay. I might be crazy, but doesn't something like that happen in the original Prey?
I was gonna say that.
Yes.
When you die, you go to like the spirit world.
Yes.
You go to the spirit world, and like they're implying in Death Stranding. What they're implying in Death Stranding is that Sam can leave his body. His name's Sam Porter.
Yeah. Norman Reedus' character.
Yeah. He can leave his body and go collect things that he had on him at the time, kind of like your souls and Dark Souls. In Prey, the original Prey, when you died, you would be sent to the spirit realm, where you can use your spiritual bow and arrow to shoot a couple enemies, and that could potentially restore your health and items.
Yeah.
And then you would enter a portal, and you go straight back to exactly where you died when you died.
Yeah. So this seems, they're kind of tiptoeing around specifics of how this is going to work, obviously, but it just sounds like the whole it sounds to me like from the get-go when like the design doc for this game is very much like, I want to break convention of how death in games work, which would obviously be heavily implied by the name of the game, whatever stranding means. I don't know what the fuck that means,
You're stranded.
but death obviously plays a huge role in this game and what's happening.
Do you think death is that giant hand monster?
Maybe. However,
that fucking plucks people.
Dude, that was weird.
Yeah,
that trailer was so bizarre.
Is it like?
There's no trailer yet that hasn't been bizarre.
I know,
Dude,
but like that took it
maybe
to a whole nother level.
what they're doing, like I don't know, but maybe like what the story is revolving around is like these guys are like fucking Thanatonauts or something, and they found a way to go into the afterlife, and like that's where they are.
Maybe.
Well,
That'd be kind of
one of the things they're implying is that one of the gameplay mechanics he talked about was what's called timefall. Basically, the rain in the game has
mainly in the plane.
Oh yeah, they said didn't they say that the rain was actually what was making them age? Not
it has the ability to age anything.
Yeah, which because in the trailer it seemed like the
hand monster
was making the guy that was trapped under the truck age really fast, but apparently it was the rain.
It was the rain. Yeah.
According to Kojima.
In the intro to the trailer, they show some plants and stuff, and it's raining on the plants, and they quickly grow and die.
Okay.
So just walk around with an umbrella.
Yeah.
Problem
I'll
solved.
tell you the one thing this trailer has done for us is that it's made us realize that we really need to see a fucking gameplay trailer now. I don't think they can do any more cinematic trailers like this until they fucking show some game.
They can do whatever they want.
Dude, think about Metal Gear Solid 5 and how long it took for us to get gameplay of that.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't think we might not see we
Metal Gear
might
Solid
not
5?
see gameplay for this for a while. Although
We only saw Ground Zeroes for the longest time.
yeah, that's
I mean,
true.
Ground Zeroes is like prequel content of Metal Gear Solid 5.
Yeah, was that the first gameplay? I can't even remember. Was that the first gameplay we saw of Metal Gear Solid 5?
Kept you waiting.
I think so.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Him climbing the cliff and
Kept you
The
waiting.
thing is, on one hand, Kojima does not like play by the same rule book as a lot of other developers. But on the other
rule book every couple of years.
But on the other hand, he made this deal with Sony, and he has to like play nice with Sony. So like whatever he does, Sony has to kind of approve of. So at some point, Sony's gonna say, "All right, you got to show some gameplay." So who knows when that's gonna happen? But this trailer certainly. I don't even know how I feel after watching this trailer. I just remember being like, "This is fucking bizarre."
yeah.
I still want to know what it is, but I'm like,
Yeah, I want.
Yeah, we'll find out.
Why does he have babies in his or a baby in his
Tummy?
tummy? Or
I mean, the thing
why
was,
is the game about babies?
the
in
thing
general?
was, the first time we saw the baby, it was when he was in the little. He looked like fucking Quinn Start the Reactor, whatever that was from
Total Recall?
Total Recall. I don't remember the guy's name. Quantu, whatever the fuck.
Quato.
There you go. Whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, but when we saw him in Norman Reedus's tummy, it was when like shit got weird, and then he was like underwater, and it zoomed in on him. So yeah, that could be kind of like a whole mechanic of death or whatever. It was. You know what I'm saying? It was like underwater, and like the fucking whale swimming around and stuff.
No, it was
So-
Quato. Yeah.
I don't know.
Anyway,
Weird trailer. I would, if you haven't watched it yet, I would encourage everyone to go check it out. It's pretty crazy.
what's next?
Next, we had a lot of this is going to be kind of hitting the high points of the Game Awards because Game Awards was actually pretty eventful. Let's talk about.
let's talk about when.
Let's talk about the
Jeff
From
Keighley
Software.
needed a way out.
From Software.
Oh, okay.
Let's talk about From Software.
Oh, that's going to be a short discussion.
There we go. Yeah, I mean, there's not really much to say here. We did get our first visual tease of the next game from Software.
5-second tease.
Literally,
Just some words.
the craziest, like the dictionary definition of a teaser.
Yeah.
5 or 6 seconds. We got a little bit. We got like an image of how would you describe that?
I don't know.
I don't even know.
I don't know. It was like
It was gone in like 6 seconds. I don't know.
it was
Like
it was
barbed
a
rope.
Yeah.
Barbed wire.
it was a
Scroll? Was it a scroll?
it was a winch.
Was it a winch?
It was
a
a winch
winch.
with barbed wire on top of some
Like
scroll.
made out of bone with
Yeah,
like
that's
sinew
true.
as
Yeah.
the rope. And there was some kind of scroll in the back that had weird possibly
Bloodborne 2.
Yarnum-ish
Okay, so
writing on it.
there seems to be some skepticism as to whether this is Bloodborne.
I think
2.
it's Bloodborne.
Yeah.
It's Bloodborne.
One of the-
what was
one
the
of the main-
words it said again? I forget.
Shadows die twice.
Shadows
die
die twice. Like
There was the big argument I heard that like, oh, I don't think this is a Souls game is because people thought that the scroll behind the whatever was actually just like Japanese kanji, but it's not. It's some kind of weird made up squiggly language. I've never seen Japanese writing.
One of the theories
Oh,
I
I thought
saw
that was Japanese.
One of the
I don't
prominent
think it
theories
is.
right now is that it could be another
Yeah.
Kuon game, which would be fucking.
Oh, what game?
Kuon. That was
Kuon.
something that people were throwing
From
around.
Software
Jesus
made
Christ.
Yeah.
From Software made Kuon. It was a horror
Yeah,
game back on the
obviously it's a
PS2.
Kuon sequel.
I mean, just to throw it out there, the font they used for Shadows Die Twice, the text, was the same they used for any of the subtitles for Bloodborne.
Yeah.
Was it?
Yes.
You're
It was
ab-
very similar, if anything.
There's also talk of Tenchu. I don't know. Where's the Tenchu stuff come? I've seen Tenchu come up a lot.
I haven't seen that one.
Tenchu, I don't
Oh,
know
they
if
worked
still have
on
the license.
they worked on one of the more recent Tenchu games, I think.
No, Tenchu 4 was done by
I didn't say they made it. I think they
starts
worked.
with an A.
I think they worked on a Tenchu game. Like they helped.
Well, the last Tenchu game to come out was for the Wii,
Yeah, maybe it wasn't that one.
and it was bad. Really bad.
Well, yeah, there hasn't really been a good Tenchu game in a very long time.
Like the
But,
last tolerable Tenchu game was Tenchu Z.
The thing is, the reason there's doubt about it being Bloodborne is it was the teaser was so vague
Oh, it
and
was
so
very vague,
fast that like there almost like is no point to them showing that and not just saying, oh, by the way, it's Bloodborne 2, right? Like it's almost like they want people to like think it's Bloodborne 2, but then like come out of left field and surprise you, make it being something totally different. I'm not saying that's actually likely.
Guys says it was I don't know. I don't know what's going on. There's so much fucking speculation.
What the fuck though? Like that was like, first of all,
dick move.
PlayStation Experience was kind of PlayStation Experience was like a wet fart.
It was not good this year.
I didn't even stay tuned for that entire press conference, quote unquote, whatever it was.
You left us too.
But like they showed this teaser the night before PlayStation Experience started, which made people think, okay, they're teasing for the real announcement tomorrow.
Yeah.
No. So who the fuck knows when we're actually going to find out what the hell this is? But it is interesting that it's coming. We know From Software is also working on a new IP, aren't they? They have several projects in development.
They supposedly have 3 projects in the works.
Yeah.
We know Bloodborne 2 has got to be, one of them.
Yeah.
I think that is okay. Yeah.
Supposedly one's a new IP.
One's a new IP.
A lot of people are arguing that one of the projects is actually a new Armored Core.
Yeah.
Armored Core.
That's what it looks
like. Oh, okay. Here we go.
Can I see that when you're done?
Yeah. It looks pretty soulsy, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, that's all there is to say about that.
Lighting's very similar to trailers from Souls games.
Yeah.
If that means anything.
Yeah. Who the hell knows? We'll find out at some point in the future. So those were kind of the 2 big things. Oh no, let's go with the Bayonetta thing. Top one there.
Yeah.
Bayonetta was a big surprise.
3.
Man. So not only did Nintendo finally announce the Bayonetta 1 and 2 collection for the Switch, they followed it up immediately with a sequel, a teaser, teaser trailer for Bayonetta 3, which is exciting. Yeah. Like,
it is.
Platinum. I'm assuming Platinum's.
I would assume so.
Under the assumption it's Platinum again, obviously.
Pretty good assumption.
I don't know. I wasn't so sure about the future of Bayonetta following Bayonetta 2. I didn't know how much steam that franchise had beyond getting 1 sequel, much less 2.
Well, evidently it didn't. Well,
I mean, it came out exclusively at first for the Wii U, which that couldn't have helped sales.
It probably did not.
Bayonetta, as it is already. I don't want to say niche, but it is. I wouldn't call it mainstream necessarily. So to release a quote unquote niche game on a platform that has a very small install base probably didn't do it any favors.
Yeah.
But it's cool. 1 and 2 are both coming to the Switch, which I'll probably pick that up. And Bayonetta 3 is coming exclusively once again to the Nintendo platform. Nintendo seems to be, putting a lot of faith in Bayonetta, which is cool. I think that's fucking fantastic. Reggie was out on stage when they announced this. I didn't think that was, the kind of thing that Reggie goes up on stage to announce. So that was.
Why not?
I don't know. He's. I always associate him with being on stage to talk about like big Nintendo properties, right? Mm-hmm. So to see him come out and be like, by the way, Bayonetta's awesome, right? And we're publishing that for the Switch, which is cool.
I'll be a little disappointed if we don't hear like news of like a Bayonetta 2 or 3 port for all of the platforms. I mean, I know Nintendo funded 2, and they're probably funding 3 as well.
I don't think that's going to happen.
I mean, I don't think we're going to hear about it anytime soon.
I mean, Nintendo is already paying...
Yeah, I figured maybe we might get an announcement for 2, at this point. Because, I mean...
But that means Nintendo would have to be willing to relinquish that. They're obviously still using that IP.
I mean...
pretty heavily, so they have no reason to let... Not to mention, this is kind of a side news topic that I didn't make an overlay for, but... Nintendo announced that the Nintendo Switch has sold 10 million units.
10 million units, yeah.
It is selling like hotcakes. So,
you know what hasn't sold 10 million units?
Xbox One X?
No, I was going to say the SNES.
The Mini?
Mini.
That's because they didn't make
because they made like 30 of them.
And I own one.
Oh, God. Congratulations.
Yeah. All right, what else is in the news?
Other Game Awards stuff. I kind of made one overlay that was just kind of a hodgepodge of all the remaining announcements.
I didn't write them down, so I don't remember what they all were.
Dude,
that was
I don't want to.
It was a week ago.
Some of them aren't even. Some of them we don't need to go into detail. I think kind of the highlights for me were Valley of the Gods, which is the next game from Campo Santo, the studio that made Firewatch.
That really didn't know much about it, but it looks pretty.
Looks very pretty.
Starring 2 ladies.
Yeah.
In the desert.
2 ladies in Egypt.
Yep.
and based on Firewatch and how beautiful that game was and how emotional that game was, I am super excited to see what this game is all about.
Fuck yeah.
Vacation Simulator was something I'm excited for. I loved Job Simulator. That game was a lot of fun.
Yeah, so that was that was a highlight.
It was a very teasery trailer, but I'm ready for
another standout VR title.
Mm-hmm.
This is actually the next one is kind of the thing that stood out to me the most. I still have a lot of research to do about this one because I don't know. Outside of just the trailer looking cool as hell, Witchfire. Do y'all remember Witchfire?
Which one was that one?
It looked kind of like a.
I remember the name, but
it was like a dark first. It was like a first-person shooter set in like a Dark Souls type universe.
Yeah.
I thought that looked really cool.
I wasn't super excited. I was excited until all the hordes of guys started coming out.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know.
I'm basing this off of one trailer, so it's obviously very early. But just the way the universe looks, and it looks like it's gonna be. It looks like it's gonna be a first-person horror game, like a first-person shooter horror game.
Yeah.
Maybe a first-person horror action game. I don't know how else to describe it, but looks very cool. I checked that trailer out. And then I threw up get GTFO.
Yeah.
That game looked really cool.
It's from 10 Chambers, their former Overkill devs.
Yeah, that game looked really. I was very excited. I was kind of sold on that until I saw the zombies.
Yeah.
I was
hold on. Was I thinking of?
It looked like Alien.
I was thinking of GTFO. That was what was Witchfire?
Witchfire. Witchfire looked like. Oh god.
I'm confusing them. Then GTFO was the one where they used multiple people and the brares and all the zombie guys kept coming on. Okay, that's what I was thinking of. Now, I can't remember Witchfire.
Witchfire looked a little bit like. I think Brad's mentioned Dark Watch. It looks kind of like Dark Watch.
I don't know Dark Watch.
Dark Watch is like the cowboy western horror
I guess I'll just
game.
Google it real quick.
Yep, that was PS. That's what I was thinking of.
Yeah,
I can't remember the name.
Oh my God,
that was a cool game, but this seems like a lot. This looks like literally like a cross between maybe something like Metro and Dark Souls, but through the first person perspective where you're shooting a gun.
Got it. I remember it now.
Yeah,
it's just one image and I got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Looked really cool. I'm excited for that. GTFO, I looked for the first half of that trailer. I was like, damn, this looks kind of looked like Alien.
Yeah.
It was slow paced. It had it was super dark, and then all of a sudden, zombies.
Hordes of zombies
everywhere.
I mean, it was really hard to tell what kind of
I don't care what kind they were.
It's just it literally is
more
over.
For me.
It's
more
literally
of the
overdone at this point.
Having to shoot hundreds and hundreds of things.
I mean, okay, it didn't appear.
I'm not saying it can't surprise me.
It could be good. Yeah.
I mean, it kind of made me think more along the lines of Aliens.
I guess.
Yeah, for me it did for the first half of the trailer until it turned into Left 4 Dead. So
There's
I don't know.
nothing necessarily wrong with that.
Anyways,
and it's from a development team that is very experienced with good co-op games.
I'm not saying it's not going to be a good co-op game. I'll gladly try it if it's looking good. But that first trailer just didn't really leave a good taste in my mouth.
Yeah.
Was there any other big things we need to talk about from the Game Awards? There was a number of smaller announcements and whatnot.
They put out a new Metro trailer.
New Metro trailer looks pretty good.
And they've started to,
that's not March, is it?
No, it's fall.
Okay,
which disappointed me, but
thank God.
What they've started up their marketing campaign for it.
Yeah,
and the way they're kind of structuring it is that it seems to be they'll have major announcements each season to correspond with the way the game is paced.
Yeah.
So they'd have the winter announcement showing off this trailer, then they'll have a spring, summer, and a fall.
Yeah. Because that game is broken up into seasons, right?
Yeah, and if you follow their if you go to the website, they're implying some very interesting story details for the people that care about that.
I'm really looking forward to Metro. Also, I forgot Soul Calibur 6 was announced. It's sad Brad's not here. He's probably the only one who really cares a whole lot about Soul Calibur 6 being announced.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that was kind of a surprise. I didn't see that coming. I wish I had more to say about it. I don't have much of a history with fighting games, much less Soul Calibur of them. But people seem pretty excited about it. Although my first, as an outsider to the series, watching that trailer, I just remember feeling like this looks like it could have been a trailer for Soul Calibur 5.
Yeah.
I don't know. I But that's as someone who knows almost nothing about that series.
And not necessarily, this is after the Game Awards and the PSX.
Yeah.
But Overkill finally showed off the first trailer for their Walking Dead game.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't see that. When did that happen?
Yeah, I didn't see that
It's a
either.
cinematic trailer, but they show off a new character.
Cinematic trailer.
And it's set in Washington, D.C.
That game has been at fucking E3 for like 3 years. They're
Walking-
still showing cinematic trailers?
Well, they're doing a campaign to where they're kind of going along lines of Hellblade, showing off the game.
Oh, okay.
So they're doing a cinematic trailer. They're going to do cinematic intros for like the main cast,
Yeah.
and they're going to be doing like behind the scenes videos of them making the levels and the weapons.
I just
and
want to
shit
see
like
if the
that.
game looks good to play, because that's kind of where I'm worried about. By the way, speaking of Hellblade, anybody else here going to find time to play Hellblade before the
I
end of the year?
want to. It's on my
I'm gonna
list.
try.
Shut up.
Do it, Crispy.
Part of my
6
sweat.
hours. 6 hours, people. 6 hours.
You know how long a hat in time is, Nick?
Didn't you say it was like 12?
That's if you do a lot more than just the main core.
Hey, do you want me to tell you what I think about Hat in Time?
I want you to talk about
It's
next
charming,
week.
but man, that first 2 hours I played was kind of a mess. I'm just saying.
I want you to talk about
I'm
it
going to keep
next
playing.
week.
All right. That's what I'm saying. You'd
Use
probably
the hat
prefer
as
that
a
I talk
tool.
about it after I've spent more time with it.
And Chris can talk about it too, because he got a code.
I'll play it, and I'm going to talk about it. But I literally only got 2 hours with it, and the first 2 hours were kind of sloppy
Dude,
for me.
I don't have. I think I've got my list narrowed down to one available slot, and I don't know that Hat in Time is going to be that game.
Well,
So
could be Golf Story.
I don't think it's going to be Golf Story.
I don't think it's going to be.
What other news topics do we have?
I don't know.
I wanted to mention Tomb Raider. This was kind of a weird one. Did you see that?
What? No. What about
Tomb Raider somewhere. Well, he looks for the overlay. I think it's above that
I'm
one.
in the exact wrong.
Square Enix announced that they're going to be announcing the new Tomb Raider game
Okay.
soon at a major event in 2018.
An announcement.
What the real thing that I think was interesting about the way they announced this announcement is that they said they are basically teasing a new approach to the way they announce and release the game. They said that, their words.
Fuck does that?
Which means
We are
once
ta-
they finally announce the announcement, it will be a teaser for a teaser trailer.
My assumption,
Tomb Raider Early Access.
my guess is that they are going to announce this game and then it's going to be out. Or it's going to be like announcement coming out this month or next month or something. Like, I don't think there is going to be much
They're
time.
going to pull a Sega Saturn.
No, I don't think it's going to be like, and it's out today. I just think it's going to be like, they're going to announce it and they're going to be like, oh, by the way, this game comes out in like a couple months. Because I think they said they're experimenting with the way they develop, announce, and release their game. My guess.
So they
is
want
that
less people to know about it before it comes out.
that's why it's an experiment, Nolan. I mean,
Okay.
the thing is, it's Tomb Raider. Like, the first two Tomb Raider games were very successful.
The Tomb Raider movie is the
Is the
announcement
game? Oh.
for the game.
Oh,
In
shit.
the movie,
That's
she's going to
not-
be playing the new game.
yeah.
What if they announced the
They're gonna do like a Batman v Superman. They're gonna take like 5 minutes in the middle of the movie to just play a fucking trailer for the game.
Guys, you know what this could be? What if they're gonna roll a trailer for Tomb Raider before the movie for anyone who goes to see the movie in theaters? Like, what if they said major event in 2017, not at E3, like
In 2017.
2018. Sorry,
I was gonna
major
say,
event in 2018.
running
That
out.
Tomb Raider movie's coming out soon. Maybe they consider that a major event,
Maybe.
and it's gonna roll before the movie starts. Or
I
something.
guess I had completely forgotten about that trailer for the movie. And then I went to see Justice League on Tuesday, finally. And that played before the movie. And I was.
And you'll take two.
And I was like, this looks like dog shit. Oh my
I mean, it looks
God,
like a
that
video game
looks
movie.
Bad.
It looks like a video game movie. I didn't think it looked as bad as I was expecting it to look.
Some of the CG
and it has
is real rough.
Yeah, some of it looks rough. It has
Some of what look rough?
The CG.
yeah.
Looks like it could be better.
Like the
than,
scene where she's like running across the waterfall to get to the airplane.
Yeah.
is-
Could be better than Justice League.
Well, yeah.
It
Not a
also has Walter Goggins in it, and I'll watch anything with that guy in it.
Oh yeah.
Dude, Walter Goggins is awesome. So
Don't know who that
he
is.
will
You'll
save.
recognize his
if,
face.
I'll probably-
he will save that movie if everything else in it sucks.
The Hateful Eight. Do you
I didn't
remember?
get to see it.
You motherfucker, are you kidding
Sons
me?
of Anarchy was probably his best role. You ever watch Sons of Anarchy?
No.
I
I've
did for
seen
like 5
4
seasons.
He was
and I don't
he was
remember.
he was the cross dressing character that always showed up. Oh god.
Spoilers.
Wait, who was?
All right, is that everything in news?
I think that's everything in news.
All right.
We really need to go into.
Yeah, we need to answer some
The
questions.
community.
Which guy from Hateful
Shut
Eight
up!
was
It's time
once
for
ago?
community.
I
All right, we
seen
have
the
no
Hateful
new
Eight.
patrons this week, but that's all right.
Why?
We still love all of the patrons we currently have.
Reminder:
Well, this wasn't a good week for Patreon.
not a great week for Patreon
That is
in general.
true. Yeah.
But like I said at the beginning of the show, they have backpedaled the whole thing about charging.
Things are getting better.
Charging
Or
people
not-
to
things are not
pledge.
getting worse.
They have literally came out and said we fucked up. So that's no longer a thing that's happening. So if you had any trepidations there,
You can head on over to patreon.com/4player and you can become a patron today.
yes.
For just $1.
For just
First
$1.
question this week comes from Zero Skies. What past games do you think deserve to be in VR? I think the Fear series could work really well with adjustments like giving longer slow-mo so combat works better
Man,
in VR.
I'll tell you what. I want more games that play and control. Like I honestly think the way Resident Evil 7 controls in VR is pretty damn great. I don't want to say perfect, but because there's obviously room for improvement. But like, I want to play more games that play and control like that. And if that means more, I would love to play more first-person shooters if they played and felt like that. So like playing Fear with the controls of Resident Evil 7, maybe with just a little bit more responsiveness to the way the camera, like he's kind of slow to turn or run. So if they could speed that up just a little bit.
So one thing I want to see more of are like not first-person games or not like weirder games like something Final Fantasy Tactics. Could you imagine that in VR, being able to move
Or like
around the
fucking
battlefield?
StarCraft or something?
StarCraft. Like I was kind of looking at something like Little King Story. I think that would be.
Don't forget
Pikmin.
Don't
would
forget
be fucking
Moss
awesome.
comes out next month, and
No,
that is an excellent example of how third-person games control and look in
You
VR.
know what'd be a good one? The Puppeteer.
Oh shit!
that'd be
Puppeteer.
really
Yeah.
cool in
Yeah,
VR.
yeah.
It's the whole like stage
Yeah.
aesthetic of it.
So
I
that's
really,
what
I
like-
really want to sit down and spend some time with a game that is third person in VR because as of yet I haven't really spent much
Well,
time
so
with
the
it.
thing was, I was kind of looking at there's been a lot of bundles out for PlayStation VR, and I was watching some footage of Skyrim. I do not like how that game plays in VR.
Yeah.
And I understand conceptually why it has to be that way. It's hard to like move a character around in first person in an open environment in VR because it's kind of jarring, and
Yeah.
so they do like a mechanic where you kind of like point and then teleport to that place. But I don't like that.
Wait.
Look
Really?
up some Skyrim VR footage.
That's how the whole game plays.
Yeah, I'm not a fan.
Ooh.
But I
The thing
understand
is,
why.
they're always trying to straddle that line between what works and what doesn't make people nauseous. And like I've had a really smooth time with Resident Evil 7, but I know because I went into the settings on Resident Evil 7 and I turned off all the things that like I messed with the settings to like smooth out the way. So like most games by default do the thing where like they do the half turns, right? I turn that off, so my camera's completely free and I look around and move around like that, and I control where the character moves by turning my head.
Yeah.
A lot of people can't handle that, or it just fucks with their.
Well, it's weird when
vision.
you're, especially because in Resident Evil 7 it does it too. That whenever you go into a cutscene or something where it makes your character do something, it fades to black for a second.
Yeah.
Because the problem is there's a weird thing with your inner ear and your eye when you're doing something, and all of a sudden it like kind of takes control away from you, and like what I'm saying, like that's not like
It's got to
comfortable. Yeah.
Yeah.
But also, you got to remember that this is just the first generation.
Oh,
of, like,
yeah,
VR
things will get
headsets.
better.
Like,
No.
10 years from now, this technology is probably going to be fucking amazing.
It's already pretty cool.
I'm
It's
ready for
already
you know
really
what I'm
cool.
ready for in
Yeah.
VR? Virtual Boy.
Oh, God.
Oh my goodness.
Tell you
Some
what,
Mario Tennis.
Yeah.
As far as first-person games go, the one of the limiting factors of this idea is the tethering you have to deal with a VR helmet.
Yeah.
But dude, let's get like fucking Stranglehold remade in like VR,
Yeah.
where
I'd
you're
play
just
that.
going around in first person, just
I mean,
doves and shit. as you're
Super Hot
shooting just waves of
VR
people.
made that seem like a possibility. And also, this might be fucked up, and I said it earlier in the show when I was talking about Resident Evil 7, but like, I had that thought of like, if they made a Saw video game where like it was like you are the person in the trap and you have to like solve the puzzles to escape the room in VR, that would be so cool.
Ooh.
It'd be fucked up.
You know, be another good one in VR. Senran Kagura.
Oh god.
God.
Oh my goodness. I got another email
Those
this
egg
week
rolls.
from
That seems
from
like a borderline crime.
I got an email this week for Was it CES? Is that the name of the computer?
Yeah.
Asking if I wanted to do an interview with the same company that did the VR porn at E3.
Yeah.
Nice. Oh,
They missed you.
Naughty America?
Yeah.
All right, moving on. Next question from Prince of the Universe. What's the most recent game you've made the conscious decision to drop from your backlog and never return to it, and why?
Drop from our back, as in
It
never start it?
It can't be a game you just forgot about.
It's like a game that we're like looking to play at some point.
I think you could include games that you've started but then put into a backlog and decided not to go back to.
I just did it a few minutes ago. Hadn't time.
Wow.
Just cut it loose.
No, like I've had kind of unofficially on my backlog for a while. I've been wanting to I was like, one day I'll go back and play that Assassin's Creed Unity game. But after playing Origins, I don't think I can go back.
That's a good one.
Don't think I can go back.
I'm very close to saying Quantum Break.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
I put like 4 hours into it. It didn't do anything for me.
That seems like it's totally up your alley, and I'm shocked.
Maybe it was because I played it on the Xbox and I kind of wanted to play the PC version, and then
Wait, but that shouldn't have any impact on
other
what your
things
desire
came out,
to play
and
the
I just never
game.
got around to it. And
That game has some fantastic payoff and some amazing moments and some great characters and some great storytelling.
okay, that's nice.
Just saying. And it also looks like it's a game that's made for you.
I don't know. For me, it's.
That's racist.
I don't think there's many games that I
No,
put
it's
into
not.
my backlog that I'm like, oh, I'll never go and play them, because who knows? Maybe in fucking 40
They just go in my
years when I'm
backlog for
retired
years.
yeah, like maybe I'll eventually get to it. Like I was kind of looking at something like Gravity Rush is a game I never played, and I always meant to. And I'm not saying I'm not going to, but it's like I don't have any plans on it right now. It's just the problem. The problem is anytime something goes in my backlog, it generally stays there because there's too many fucking new games coming out. And if I start going into my backlog, it means I'm not playing the new games.
Yep.
Like the opposite scenario for me right now, Valkyria Chronicles 1 is coming off the backlog because they announced a new game.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, yeah, that'll motivate that can really
Yeah, but that game's good.
I've actually wanted to go back and play Borderlands 2 for a long time.
That game's really good.
Moving on.
And I have a copy of Borderlands 2, but I feel like I'm probably not going to feel the real urge to play it until Borderlands 3 gets officially announced. And
This new Valkyria Chronicles could be shit.
Could be. Next question from Mr. Greentos. Inspired by the new vehicles in the Doomsday Heist and GTA Online, would you rather have a car that can also fly at will, or would you rather have a car that can swim underwater?
probably fly.
Fly.
We live nowhere near an ocean.
But
or a place where that would be useful.
But wouldn't that just make it a plane?
No, it's a car. You can't drive a plane down the highway,
Yeah,
Nick.
I guess you're right.
Whichever affects the fuel economy, they're the best.
Technically, it's only a plane if it uses airfoils to generate lift,
Correct.
which I don't think this one does.
I don't
You're
think it
ruining
I think
this.
I think it hovers like the Back to the Future DeLorean.
It's definitely not ultralight.
Final question from this evening from Chai. Between the four of you, come up with a concept for the greatest holidays-themed video game ever.
Oh, God.
Greatest holidays.
I feel like this should be a question for our Christmas
themed
episode.
Well, a
video
good portion of the
game.
game has to be based around free ski.
What?
What?
The
Ski free?
the ski free, I guess.
Free ski.
Yeah, you're skating down a mountain and you're being chased by a yeti.
What?
No.
How do y'all not remember Ski
You ever
free?
played that?
I don't know what that is.
It's a
It was,
classic.
it was an old. Was it DOS or was it Windows?
It was Windows.
Okay, that was the fucking Windows 93 game.
I feel like it
Anyway.
should be. I feel a perfect holiday game would be like a Santa Claus themed horror game. I don't know.
Why has it got to be Santa
That
Claus?
would
thing?
alienate people who celebrate Hanukkah and people who celebrate Kwanzaa.
Yeah.
And you gotta.
How inclusive, motherfucker.
What if it was like a superhero, like a team up, like a superhero team up game with Santa and I don't know.
Again with the Santa?
Kwanzaa bot.
Yeah, it was like I started that thought and then I got those who else with I don't know.
Whatever
nearly-
the
Jesus,
Kwanzaa
Nick?
person.
Maybe Jesus.
Yeah, maybe Jesus.
Who
else, though?
Who brings Jewish children their Hanukkah presents?
Parents.
Moses?
Abraham. David Carradine.
Man, I don't know.
David?
Yeah, the star of David Carradine.
Was he Jewish?
I don't think so.
I would make like a
Kwanzaa bot.
I would make like a horror game in VR where you play like a young kid who like gets up in the middle of the night to go downstairs and like catch Santa in the act, and he does, but it turns out Santa's like fucked up like
Krampus.
Like, you talking about Krampus?
Yeah, but like in VR, and then you have like the rest of the game is like you having to hide from Santa in like your big giant house as he like you've seen too much. He's like trying to kill you.
You could take that concept and then take the concept of what was that game that like it was a $1 game where it was multiplayer. You play it. One person plays as a baby. One person plays as a dad.
Who's your daddy?
Who's your daddy? Yeah, that's it. Take that concept and then apply it to that Krampus scenario. That'd be great.
What was the concept of that though?
The concept of that was you were a baby goes around the house trying to kill itself. A dad goes around the house trying to prevent it. So putting things up higher where the baby can't reach it, like hiding chemicals and
eating batteries.
I'm just picturing like a really terrifying horror game where like you're a young kid and you see Santa and you realize he's a fucking monster, and then you're being stalked by Santa and you have to hide all over your house.
I think it would be better if in the game
trying to kill Santa
you played an old man and you were celebrating the holidays and your family didn't come to visit you.
Oh, that is.
Damn.
Be like Gone Home, except nobody's gone home.
Rejection, the game 2.
The Reckoning.
I don't know. Maybe like an Assassin's Creed style multiplayer, but it's a bunch of people trapped in an airport trying to get the last seat on the plane home for Christmas. And you have to like, instead of killing people, you're like doing little, like you have to like be kind of sly about like sabotaging people in different ways to try to make them miss the plane.
Like you slip,
so you
like,
can have their
you slip like a 4-ounce bottle of liquid in their bag.
Yeah, or like somebody walks by a fucking water fountain and you like spray it on their dick so they have to like go to the bathroom and like dry off or something. Like
I don't know what the gameplay concept would be, but I want a game where you play as a mall Santa.
So you just want a game where a bunch of little kids sit on your
lap.
It's like,
never mind.
Jesus.
It's Papers, Please, but you're a mall Santa and you have to figure out who the good and bad kids are.
That's it. There we go.
That's pretty good.
There you go. That's it. We've done it. That's the perfect Christmas game.
And then, and a kid comes up and he's like, "I'm Jewish." Denied.
Right, but like some kids lie, or some
take
kids
him away.
Don't know, like
It's like a big stamp that just says denied.
Like the real Santa sends you reports back and is like, that kid actually killed like 3 squirrels this year. He's not good.
No,
like,
except the stamp, instead of saying denied, it says naughty.
Oh, that's good. Naughty and nice.
Yeah.
That's going to be interesting. Yeah.
Boom. Done. We've got it. Send us a check.
Cool with that. Well, that's all the questions we have from this week. Every week we post a thread on patreon.com/4player where you can ask us any questions you'd like. We are going to have another show next week. Next week's our last show?
Next week is our Christmas episode, I believe.
Oh, shit.
Which is really just a show where we talk about video games, but we maybe have Christmas hats on.
Yeah.
I don't know.
One more chance for the end of the year to get in some good questions.
Every week after that is pretty much 2018 preview show. And then the first week of January we usually skip. And then
second week is award
show for 2017. So next week's our last like regular like us talking about video games. We're playing video games for about a month. So join us. We'll also be we've started working on our top 10 stuff for the year.
I'm going to be taking submissions pretty soon for highlights of the year.
Yes.
And then once we've got our thing settled, we'll open up the community list for the game of the year.
Yep. So we'll have our game of the year content out sometime in March.
In fact, I may. No,
I'm sorry. I'm just kidding. It was February.
Definitely April.
I'll kill all of you.
Maybe.
Hey, this is a lot of pressure, Chris Davis.
It's
I'm just
pressure
kidding.
you deal with every year.
I know, and we usually get stuff out.
Suck it up.
In like February. Anyways,
if next week is our Christmas episode, let's get some like boozy eggnog.
Fuck yeah.
Eggnog's
all right,
good.
let's wrap the show up as we always do with the 4-player minute. You all know how this works. Hype, sweat, thank you, and fuck you. Nolan, would you care to start?
Oh, shit. I'm not ready for this. My hype is for in 8 hours. I will be seeing Star Wars The Last Jedi.
Fuck yeah.
I'm pretty excited for that. I'm gonna give the fuck you to myself because after that I have to go to work. And so tomorrow's definitely going to be a long day at work.
Anything to avoid spoilers, right?
Yeah. My thank you is actually going to go to all of the community members who have been helping me along in Yakuza, giving me some pretty good tips and leading me in the right direction on a lot of stuff. And then my sweat is going to go to... I emailed myself earlier today. And it was a list of games that I want to try and get done before the end of the year. Like Game of Year contenders.
You're on Chapter 5 of Yakuza 0. And the year ends in like
Is it a
2.5 weeks.
2-digit list?
One digit. Like one digit list. Sorry. Yeah.
Okay.
Like Hellblade's on there. Tacoma's one I wanted to play. I don't even remember what the whole list was. There's just too many fucking games. And
What Remains of Edith Finch?
oh, fuck me.
That's only like 3 hours.
I know.
I thought that
there's-
was like last year, though.
You could take a long shit and knock that out.
That's a pretty long shit.
I
No, Vanishing
mean-
Ethan Carter was last year. I get that it's
Yeah.
I said it was a long shit. I
Okay.
mean, obviously.
Well, we'll see what happens. Honestly, I'll probably finish like one more game. Fucking Persona. Like, oh my god. I had promised myself I was going to finish that.
Don't do that to
Nope.
yourself.
Don't have time. But yeah, that's me.
Cool. Chris Davis.
My hype this week is strangely for a game I didn't want to play at all this year, but now I have to install it because fuck me. Ubisoft revealed that they have a timed
I know
event
what
this
this is.
month for their Ghost Recon game, Wildlands,
What the fuck?
in which you and 3 other people are in a fire team and you hunt down the fucking predator in the jungle.
That's probably gonna be terrible, just so you know.
And I don't know. It's just I'm like, this is the perfect thing. Like, there's never been like a proper fucking Predator game other than like that Concrete Jungle bullshit. That was
Dude, Concrete
terrible.
Jungle was kind of fucking cool, man.
It's good
I'll
concepts.
defend that game.
Okay,
There was some cool shit in Concrete Jungle. Shut up.
but I'm talking like a original Predator film thing. Okay, I can't believe I want to play this, but I really want to play this. My sweat goes to The Division because they got an update this past weekend.
You aiming for 800 hours?
And they had added new space in the map and new modes I really wanted to play.
I'm nervous about the division.
then
I'm
this
just not
past
sure if it's
week,
gonna make
they-
my top 10 this year.
and and then this past week they had a global event start with a lot of loot and shit, and it's pretty fucking cool. I got a gun called the House, which does really fucking cool things with damage and DPS and everything. I don't know.
Why is it called The House? Because the house always wins?
Yes, actually plays like that. It's the talent. Its unique talent is called the card counter, in which half of your magazine will have
You had
an
to
extra
ask.
20% of damage, but it flips every single time you reload or you kill an enemy. So it can vary greatly. It's a gambling gun.
You had to ask. You had to ask.
Yeah, you had to ask. You got an answer, motherfucker.
I did.
And my fuck you this week, you know, I was going to put it towards Square Enix because I actually saw that trailer for Tomb Raider and it looked fucking atrocious. But I'm going to put it towards Nick because
I had a feeling that was coming. This is the Hat in Time thing.
because he doesn't like good, whimsical, fun video games.
First of all, I
anymore.
never said I didn't like it. I just said it was kind of a mess the first 2 hours.
And he has no love in his heart, and I really hope
that game is
he will
charming.
change himself.
Game is
you know,
charming.
next
Don't
week.
worry. I'm still gonna play it.
Okay.
Crispy?
My hype this week is also for Star Wars The Last Jedi, because obviously it is. I can't wait. I hope everybody dies. I hope there's never a fucking Jedi in a movie ever again.
Or Sith.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Just get rid of the
Let's
Force.
do it. Make Star Wars great again. My thank you.
No,
I know.
don't ever say that.
My
ever
thank
again.
you for this week is to the people online speculating wildly about Death Stranding, including the person who suggested that Death Stranding should be a Banjo-Kazooie type collectathon.
I did see that,
including
yeah.
with art, where like the little fucking the little
Babe.
robot thing
It's like
is
Kazooie?
yeah, and it like it'll turn into a helicopter and he can like float around on it and shit. And then there was another one I saw where someone was like, dude, this is obviously a high concept remake of Yoshi's Island. You run around with this little baby, and if you get hit, the baby starts floating up into the sky, and the Sky Wizard tries to take it, and you have to get the baby back and not let that happen.
Wow.
Whoa, what if? What if? My sweat for this week goes for fucking sitting through your fucking Yakuza talk, making me want to play it again. I don't have time. I don't have fucking time. I'm not gonna fucking finish that game. I'm not gonna finish anything. I don't even know why I'm lying to myself. I probably won't even finish Prey by the end of the fucking. Ugh! It's been a good year. I just hate this yearly cycle that we've locked ourselves into. And my fuck you for the week goes to the fucking man. You know what I'm saying?
Fuck the man.
Fuck the man trying to take away our internet. Fuck you, man.
Yeah, fuck the man.
That's my internet.
Seriously though,
Fuck that man.
What they're doing is pretty
atrocious.
Is pretty astoundingly unilateral, and I guess all our only hope right now is a Congress vote. So,
yeah, no, it can still happen.
I mean, we'll see, I guess, but holy fuck.
Oh my god!
I know
the
where
smug look on that asshole's face too when he was. Oh,
I know where I'm
Agit
voting
Pie
come
is his
midterms.
You put a name to the face.
How do you say his name?
Agit Pie.
Fuck that guy.
Yeah, fuck that guy.
Fuck that guy.
And the fucking Reese's mug he wrote in on.
Yes. Thank you, Krispy. My hype this week, unsurprisingly, goes to Star Wars: The Last Jedi.
Oh.
I'm going to see it Saturday night. I'm very, very, very excited. I probably won't be on Twitter for about 48 hours.
It's all right, Nick. I'll text you.
I will not be answering Nolan's text messages or reading them.
I'll text you during the movie.
Don't you fucking do it. I'm very fucking excited.
With pictures.
Of my penis.
Not much to say there, but we will have a lot to say after we watch it. I think we're going to record our bonus podcast, our popcorn cast, if you will, of The Last Jedi on Sunday afternoon sometime. So if you're
That's on my list, Brad.
If you're a patron, keep your eyes on the site for details about when we're going to be recording that, because you can tune in and join us for that. My fuck you of the week, I'm going to give to Hornet from Hollow Knight.
Oh, Nick. Little do you know.
I know, man.
Sweet
I love that
sunshine.
game, but fuck, I was getting pretty heated last night
Like, Nick,
playing that.
when you get to the Coliseum, don't even fucking worry about it.
Don't build this shit
Dude,
up, man.
It's hard as shit. You can skip it. You don't. It's optional.
Wonderful.
So,
I will do just that.
yeah.
My sweat goes to a game that I would feel guilty not playing it to at least give it some consideration.
Mm-hmm.
I know there's no way in hell I can finish it before the end of the year, but Persona 5, haven't touched it, and I feel like I owe it to myself to play at least like 10 hours or so of that game to at least be able to get a feel for it and make a judgment.
Maybe get through like 100th of it.
Yeah, make a judgment. So I might try and squeeze in 10 to 20 hours of Persona before the end of the year, which I might be able to do. I'm making some pretty good progress.
I think you'll probably get like halfway through the tutorial.
Fantastic! I can't wait. It'll be the best damn tutorial of the year. And my thank you, I'm just gonna give to Capcom, man. I just love what they've done with Resident Evil. I know I gush about it all the time, but I strapping on the headset and playing, another 4 hours of Resident Evil 7 content.
Stop, hang on. You're getting your gush all over me.
I know, I'm sorry.
Ew.
But man, fucking I put the VR headset on, from the first moment I started that DLC, I was like, God, I had forgotten, kind of. I didn't really forget, but it was so cool, and they do some really cool stuff in that DLC. It's worth playing. Now I'm another sweat. I'm kind of where do they go from here? I hope they fucking continue down this path with Resident Evil 8.
Yeah.
But who knows when the hell we're gonna find out what that is? It's gonna be a long time probably. So, thank you for doing right by Resident Evil for the first time in a while. And that's our show. Thank you guys so much for listening. Reminder, if you're a supporter on Patreon, you get these episodes a day early, 24 hours early. They go up the day after we record them, so this will be up tomorrow morning. And then it'll be up on Saturday morning for everyone else on the site at 4playernetwork.com. You can watch us play games every single night over at 4pp.tv. And you can join us in our free community Discord. Is discord.gg/4player. We'd love to have any and everyone who wants to to talk about video games. We'd love
or
to
movies
have
or TV
movies
or anything.
or anything. We'd love to have you in there. We're very active and a lot of great discussions happening. It gets me through my day sometimes. Anyways, thanks for listening. We'll be back next Thursday night for another episode. It should be our Christmas episode. Our last, like, quote unquote regular show of the year. So we hope you'll join us then. But until then, good night.
Bye.
Good night.